Chapter 1734. Wu Xianrou was dressed in beautiful clothes. Her soft curly hair stuck to her face, showing the gentleness of a woman. She wore a pair of beautiful high heels that straightened her legs. Compared to Wu Xianrou, Ning Shu was simply unbearable. Therefore, Wu Xianrou glanced at Ning Shu's image and said directly, "I also told my father that I don't want to marry a soldier barbarian. But my father didn't listen to me and insisted that I marry him." Ning Shu frowned. Why did she keep mentioning the soldier barbarian? This was professional discrimination. Ning Shu said, "Then will your father listen to what our commanding officer says? Our commanding officer is only your father's subordinate. You're your father's daughter. If you don't listen to what our commanding officer says, will your father listen to what our commanding officer says?" Was it fun to make things difficult for people like this? Wu Xianrou looked at Ning Shu. "Who are you? This is between Song Yi and me. Why are you interrupting?" "I'm commanding officer Song's subordinate. Since you are a subordinate, why did you interrupt when your superior was talking to others? Song Yi, your military management is too lax." Wu Xianrou was from a military family. She spoke in a bureaucratic tone and acted like a proper officer. "These are my team members. I know what they're like. However, Miss Wu, I still need you to talk to your father about this matter. Your father probably won't interfere with your lifelong happiness." Song Yi saw that the situation was very stiff and could only speak up. Wu Xianrou's eyes scanned back and forth between Ning Shu and Song Yi. There was suspicion in her eyes. "Song Yi, are you messing around?" Wu Xianrou's expression was a little disdainful. Ning Shu was speechless. He finally understood why people wanted to kill Wu Xianrou wherever she went. How did she live to this age? This was a skill to attract hatred. No wonder Song Yi kept mobilizing the military and various military helicopters from the sky to save the damsel in distress. Given enough time for Song Yi to appear, the two of them would probably indulge in the feeling of infinite posturing. Maybe their love would continue like this? Song Yi's expression was somewhat ugly. "Miss Wu, please be careful with your words." Just like what Little Nine had said, he had no sense of propriety, and his words and actions were insolent. To be able to say such words, it was related to military discipline. Was it really good to say it so casually? Wu Xianrou saw that Song Yi was pulling a long face at her, and she suddenly felt uncomfortable. "Are you angry because of what I said? I was right not to marry you." Wu Xianrou looked at Ning Shu. "It's disgusting to have sex with such a subordinate." Ning Shu looked at Wu Xianrou expressionlessly. "What evidence do you have to prove that I have a superior and subordinate relationship with Officer Song? Miss Wu, you can't talk nonsense." Wu Xianrou just said, "Do you dare to say that you don't like your boss?" Ning Shu, "Fuck, you're so annoying." She finally understood why so many flirtatious bitches were targeting Wu Xianrou. She didn't know how to keep her mouth shut, but she still thought that she was pure and straightforward. "I don't necessarily have to tolerate your straightforwardness." Ning Shu looked at Wu Xianrou indifferently. "Be careful with your words. You can do it, but you don't allow others to say it. You're so sanctimonious. Isn't it disgusting?" Wu Xianrou was already standing on the moral high ground and despising Ning Shu. "Ning Shu.io, I'm so hot-tempered." Ning Shu looked at Song Yi. "Officer, I'm in a relationship with you now. You can do as you see fit." He was inexplicably accused of a crime. Song Yi kept rubbing his eyebrows and explained repeatedly, "I have no other relationship with Wu Jing. Strictly speaking, you're slandering me." Wu Xianrou was very unhappy. This was the husband that her father found for her. Not only did he not help her, but he also spoke up for others and said that she was slandering him. "Scumbag," Wu Xianrou immediately said, "I can't marry you. You have sex with your subordinate. I can't marry you. Yes, I'm going to tell my father that you're not a good man." Wu Xianrou took her bag and ran out of the ward. Ning Shu just grinned. "From tomorrow onwards, I won't come to the hospital. If I see her again, I won't be able to take it," Ning Shu said as he left the ward. When he reached the door, he turned around and gloated at Song Yi. "I'm suddenly looking forward to your marriage with Wu Xianrou. I'm looking forward to seeing you in such a mess. It seems that what I said before is slowly being fulfilled. Wu Xianro wants her husband to be on her side. Just now, you seem to have said something for me, and it made her very unhappy. Ning Shu smiled with a gentle light on his face. Song Yi was already very annoyed, but his subordinate still said that. He couldn't help but say, "You won't have any friends if you gloat like this. I can row the boat of friendship by myself." Ning Shu directly left. If she had the time, she would rather train. If she couldn't break up the couple, then she would work hard. As a Special Forces soldier, she had a lot of tasks every day. She had to train various combat skills. Every Special Forces soldier had to be proficient in various weapons of the military and foreign forces, including various firearms, grenades, rifle grenades, small caliber artillery, and anti-tank weapons. She also had to be skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Every Special Forces soldier could adapt to street fighting, night fighting, search, and escape. Driving various vehicles was not a problem. She had to be proficient in troubleshooting and using the equipment and weapons on motor vehicles. Parachuting, climbing, crossing minefields, recognizing maps, and long-distance cross-country marching. Reconnaissance and espionage skills, observation, lurking, eavesdropping, capturing prisoners, interrogating prisoners, taking photos, and many other methods to obtain information. When necessary, she also had to use password communication. The requirements of a Special Forces soldier were almost like going to heaven and earth. Every day, she had to go through all the classes once. After that, she had to take time to visit the wounded in the hospital. Ning Shu was too lazy to go to the hospital. During the time at the hospital, she could try to train more, repair various vehicles, and check various obstacles in various vehicles. She could climb rocks, eavesdrop, and learn how to use password communication. Ning Shu wiped her sweat. So many tasks were scary. After all, she wasn't the one who asked for it. She had to familiarize herself with these skills as soon as possible. Ning Shu only had 3 to 4 hours a day to rest. She took advantage of the time when Song Yi was recuperating to familiarize herself with various skills. A qualified Special Forces soldier could find tools no matter what kind of environment they were in. Street fighting, night fighting, search, and escape. She could fight in all kinds of environments and analyze the pros and cons. Ning Shu sometimes felt dizzy from learning. But when she was tired, she would close her eyes and rest. However, Ning Shu was still called by the instructor for questioning. The reason was that she had broken military discipline and had a bad influence on the team. She had messed around with her superior. Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, all of them were mentally ill. Gossips and slanders spread very quickly. The words, messing around, first came from Wu Xianro. Chapter 1735. When he was called in for questioning, Ning Shu only emphasized that he and Song Yi had an innocent relationship and that there was no improper relationship between a man and a woman. He asked these people to investigate clearly before punishing him. Ning Shu thought with his toes that Wu Xianro must have gone back and argued with her father. She said that Song Yi had an improper relationship with her subordinate and that she couldn't marry Song Yi no matter what. And Political Commissar Wu really liked Song Yi, which was why he investigated her. Since his daughter said that Song Yi's style was promiscuous, then he would investigate whether it was really promiscuous. If the result of the investigation was that Song Yi was innocent and clean, at that time, his daughter would have no reason not to marry Song Yi. In short, as the strongest assistant for Song Yi and Wu Xianro, he must overcome all difficulties and let the two of them be together. Ning Shu understood that even if Song Yi wanted to be with Wu Xianro, she wouldn't say that she had an improper relationship with Song Yi and force herself to be with Song Yi. Some pride and beliefs couldn't be blasphemed. Ning Shu said calmly, "Officer Song and I have a pure superior-subordinate relationship. There is no improper relationship between a man and a woman. You can investigate other people." After the conversation, Ning Shu went back to training. However, Ning Shu received a mission. This mission was to plant a bug. The destination was a high-class clubhouse. An official in the clubhouse's private room colluded with forces and was suspected of committing a crime. The purpose of planting a bug was to collect evidence. Planting listening devices was something that the special forces would do in the first place. Ning Shu accepted this mission and went to the high-class clubhouse at night. This clubhouse was also a very gray place. Ning Shu changed into a waitress's clothes. It was a rabbit girl's dress with silk stockings, rabbit ear muffs on his head, and a fluffy rabbit tail behind his butt. It was a very revealing and enchanting employee's outfit. Even so, Ning Shu still had to change into such clothes, let down his hair, and put on heavy makeup. Then, he took a bottle of wine and went to the private room. There were also a few waitresses in rabbit girl's makeup. The foreman walking in front knocked on the door and only entered when the people inside let him in. She opened the door. Inside, there was smoke and fire. The lights were dim and ambiguous. A few men were hugging women and laughing. Ning Shu walked in with the wine and placed it on the table. As a result, his butt was slapped. Ning Shu immediately squatted down and secretly stuffed the small listening device under the sofa. There was a thick carpet on the floor, so it was hard to tell. Ning Shu's face was full of panic, completely showing the look of someone who had been taken advantage of. He was angry but did not dare to say anything. The man in the private room immediately laughed lewdly. "I'm sorry, she hasn't been here long, so she's not familiar with the place yet," the foreman immediately said in fear and trepidation. Ning Shu also lowered his head. His body was trembling slightly. He looked extremely scared. "All right, we have serious matters to discuss. Stop messing around," one of the men with a cold face said. Yes, it's up to young Masterly. I'll let you go this time." The man who had slapped Ning Shu's but looked as if he was doing him a favor. If Ning Shu remembered correctly, this was the official. Outside, on TV, he was always gentle and refined, serving the country and the people. But now, he was like this. People can be so refined. Ning Shu walked out of the private room with fear and trepidation. In order to avoid problems and arouse suspicion, Ning Shu still worked as a waitress. Of course, she was also taken advantage of by the men who came to the club to have fun. Letting a waitress wear a bunny girl costume was completely to please these rich and powerful men. Being taken advantage of was simply unavoidable. And you had to endure it and even smile cheerfully. Ning Shu had been paying attention to whether the guests in the private room had left. If they had left, as a waitress, she should have cleaned up the private room and taken away the listening device. The people in the private room talked for a long time. During that time, they ordered some things in. Ning Shu avoided going to the private room. In this clubhouse, Ning Shu saw these men hugging a few women in their arms and rubbing their bodies. It was a little painful to the eyes. Men, to be able to treat all these ugly acts as a show and still look helpless. People living in this world had all kinds of helplessness. Only when they were not strong enough would they compromise and submit to all kinds of rules. They could not do whatever they wanted. All the pain and struggle was because they were not strong enough. After these people left the private room, Ning Shu went to clean up the private room. She reached into the carpet under the sofa and stuffed the listening device into her pocket. Then she cleaned the private room. After changing into the bunny girl costume, Ning Shu asked the foreman for today's salary. "You made a serious mistake today. Half of your salary will be deducted." The foreman directly took half of it. Ning Shu was speechless. She really felt uncomfortable. She had been taken advantage of and her salary had been deducted. "Damn it. You're too evil. I won't work here anymore," Ning Shu said angrily. The foreman said in a low voice, "Look at the trouble you caused. If I hadn't settled it for you, you wouldn't know which man you'd be under now. How dare you say I'm evil?" Ning Shu felt that she had really screwed up. She said angrily, "I won't come again in the future." Ning Shu left in a fit of anger to prevent others from investigating her in the future. Even if others did not notice, Ning Shu had to clean up the waitress who disappeared after a day. Ning Shu left the clubhouse and went to a van not far from the clubhouse. She opened the door and got in. There was a listening device in the car. Ning Shu asked, "What did you hear?" "It's been recorded. We have to hand it over to the higher-ups." The colleague took off the earpiece and answered. Since the mission was completed, they naturally had to go back. After returning to the army, Ning Shu took a shower. While drying his wet hair, he flipped through the information book. The phone on the table rang. Ning Shu picked up the phone. It was Zhu Yi. What have you been doing recently? Do you know that Song Yi and Wu Xianrou are married? Ning Shu was stunned for a moment. Finally, he sighed and asked, "What's the situation?" Wu Zheng personally brought her daughter to the hospital to visit the boss. She officially introduced her daughter to Song Yi and asked the boss to get along with her daughter. Zhu Yi said to Ning Shu, "I think this matter is set in stone. The boss can't refuse the political commissar's request. Miss Wu comes to the hospital every day to take care of the boss." Ning Shu looked up at the ceiling speechlessly. How could this kind of fate be destroyed? They would always be together when they should be together. Ning Shu asked Zhu Yi, "Why did you call me?" "Come and see the joke. I'm really convinced." Chapter 1736. What kind of joke was there to see? Ning Shu flipped through the book, reading 10 lines at a glance while listening to Zhu. "What happened?" Ning Shu asked, "Are they going to get married?" "Marriage is very likely, but the hospital is really in a mess now. Do you want to come and see? It must feel so good to serve the boss." Zhu Yi was completely gloating over his misfortune. Ning Shu couldn't help but roll his eyes. There were really funny people everywhere. If these two really got married, the team would be disbanded. Let's see if your boss will tolerate you sneaking out to find a woman. I'll go and see. Ning Shu dried his hair and tied it up. He put on his military uniform and went to the military hospital to see Song Yi. He wanted to see what had happened. Ning Shu stood at the door of the ward with a fruit basket and heard the movement inside. He opened the door and saw Wu Xianrou impatiently feeding soup to Song Yi. When Ning Shu went in, the scene froze. It was very awkward. Wu Xianrou looked at Ning Shu in his military uniform and curled her lips. He looked like a tomboy. Song Yi actually had a scandal with such a woman. At this time, Wu Xianrou completely forgot that she was the one who said these words. Did Wu Xianrou have selective amnesia? Song Yi greeted Ning Shu. "You're here. Did you fall behind in your training recently? Why didn't you report to me?" Ning Shu said, "I finished my daily weight-bearing exercise. Aren't you recuperating? I don't want to hurt you. Drink until you die." Wu Xianrou took the soup spoon and put it into Song Yi's mouth. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. She shouldn't treat a stranger like this, let alone a soldier who was injured for the country. He didn't know why Wu Xianrou had such a sense of superiority. If she didn't want to get married, she should have talked to her father. Why was she so unwilling to take care of Song Yi? Ning Shu always felt that Wu Xianrou was jealous because Song Yi asked her about the training. Song Yi was forced to stuff a spoon into his mouth and was forced to drink soup again and again. "This is the soup made by my housekeeper. You should eat it quickly. Then I'll be free. I've never taken care of anyone like this since I was young," Wu Xianrou said indignantly. Song Yi said mysteriously, "I'm really honored." "Of course, so you should get better quickly so that I don't have to take care of you. You should go and explain it to Dad." Wu Xianrou curled her lips and stuffed the spoon into Song Yi's mouth. His teeth clattered against the spoon. Ning Shu was speechless. Song Yi, just enjoy it. Could she understand Wu Xianrou's arrogance? She couldn't be considered arrogant. At most, she was unruly. Ning Shu carried the fruit basket into the ward without a change in his expression. He carried the fruit basket to his second brother's bedside and asked, "Are you feeling better?" "It's still the same. I'm almost done." His second brother said, "Transfer me to another ward later. I can't affect their relationship." His second brother was a steady person. He was very qualified in all aspects. There was nothing particularly outstanding about him, but he was the person with the most solid foundation. Ning Shu felt that his second brother thought the ward was too noisy. Zhu Yi, on the other hand, looked like he was watching a show. He was eating fruit while watching the show. "You're here. Come here." Zhu Yi's face was shining. He waved to Ning Shu and pointed to the fruit basket. "Give me 2 oranges." Ning Shu took 2 oranges and sat on the chair beside Zhu Yi's bed. He asked, "I think you want to stay in the hospital and watch the show every day." Zhu Yi whispered, "You don't know how interesting it is." It's a mess every day. I guess the boss can't escape from this witch. This description was interesting. However, ordinary boys really couldn't stand this kind of girl. Especially girls with status and background. They were very straightforward, so straightforward that it was unimaginable. A knife could stab your self-esteem into pieces. He directly knelt in front of the witch, but the witch didn't know anything about it. She was so stupid that she didn't realize that she had said something wrong. Ning Shu took an orange and peeled it to eat. He looked at Song Yi and Wu Xianrou on the other side of the bed. Have you observed what kind of person Wu Xianrou is? Ning Shu asked Zhu. Zhu Yi touched his chin and thought for a moment. She's a very domineering girl. The boss will definitely be henpecked in the future. Ning Shu smiled. You may not be able to meet your online friends in the future. But Zhu Yi suddenly exploded when he was concerned about his own interests. This is the only hobby in life. They were all adults. Sometimes they could be carefree. Moreover, Zhu Yi would never reveal his true identity. Do you think that with Miss Wu's domineering personality, she will allow her husband to go out on missions every day? You may be assigned to other groups. The leaders of other groups will allow you to go out and do this kind of thing, Ning Shu said gloatingly. Zhu Yi was speechless. You don't have any love for your team. Zhu Yi looked at Ning Shu. What should I do? I don't want to change teams. We've been doing missions together for a few years. We'll definitely be ostracized if we go to other teams. Ning Shu spread his hands. There's no other way. We can't break them up. They're true love. You'll be destroyed by the light of true love. Zhu Yi looked at Ning Shu and rolled his eyes. Why do I feel like you're using me as a tool? You want me, a man, to interfere and break them up? Ning Shu immediately looked at him with disdain. Please, I won't look for you. Even if they don't get married, Song Yi won't be with me. Zhu Yi touched his chin. Not being able to communicate with a beautiful woman is a problem. A big problem. Sooner or later, you won't even have the honor of being a martyr, Ning Shu said disdainfully. You won't have any friends like this. Girls should act like girls. Zhu Yi lifted his chin towards Wu Xianrou. Pretty girls with a little temper are cuter. Ning Shu nodded. Do you think I'm cute when I'm like Wu Xianrou during missions? Zhu Yi suddenly looked constipated. Stop fooling around, okay? So you men are really... Ning Shu rolled his eyes and looked at Wu Xianrou and Song Yi. Some fateful connections were really not so easy to break. Even if they had to risk universal condemnation, they still had to be together. Moreover, it wasn't universal condemnation. Song Yi, the prospective son-in-law, had the full support of his father-in-law. Wu Zhengjing probably knew his daughter's personality. It wasn't easy to find a man who would tolerate and love her. Song Yi was a responsible and capable man. He was also clean and didn't have any bad habits. He quickly pulled Song Yi over and stuffed him into his daughter's arms. Father-in-law was a godly assistant. Chapter 1737. Zhu Yi was no longer in the mood to watch the fun. After all, this was related to his future military career. If the boss got married, there might be a change. Zhu Yi looked at Song Yi and Wu Xianrou on the bed next to him. Even if the boss got married, he shouldn't be like that. Let's not talk about this anymore. When can you be discharged? Ning Shu changed the topic. I was injured on duty. I need to rest for a while. There shouldn't be any big tasks now, right? Zhu Yi said. Even if there are big tasks, it's not our turn. After all, the boss is still injured. In such a situation, it's not our turn to do any tasks, especially now that we have to solve the boss's life. It's even more impossible to arrange a task for the boss. Ning Shu held his chin. She should do something to hinder the development of these two. Maybe it wouldn't be a hindrance. In the end, it might become an assist and deepen their relationship. People had a rebellious mentality. If the outside world was full of obstacles, the two would unite to resist the outside world's difficulties. The more you opposed, the more he wanted to do so. When they were united against the outside world, they wouldn't find each other's shortcomings that were difficult to break in. If there were no objections from the outside world and everything went smoothly without any obstacles, the two would slowly find each other's unbearable shortcomings and seriously consider whether it was suitable for them to be together. This was the legendary situation where there were no external enemies, and then there would be internal strife. Ning Shu didn't say what was wrong with Wu Xianrou. It would be bad if she caused Song Yi's rebellious mentality. Zhu Yi said to Ning Shu, "Should we do something?" Ning Shu shook his head. "Do anything? You don't have to do anything. The boss is our commanding officer. How can a subordinate intervene in the boss's affairs? Don't cause any trouble and get punished. Don't forget the identity of Miss Wu's father. In front of true love, everyone was a paper tiger and would be destroyed by true love. Don't be cannon fodder." Ning Shu ate the orange. Her mouth was dry from all the talking. Even if they were really together, what could he do? Wu Xianrou took the thermos and bag and left. Before leaving, she glanced at Ning Shu. Her gaze was a little complicated. Wu Xianrou believed that the rumors were true. She thought that she had something to do with Song Yi and treated her as an imaginary enemy. Wu Xianrou was quite overbearing. She had already subconsciously regarded Song Yi as something unique to her. She felt that Song Yi shouldn't have any entanglements with other women during this period of time, even if she planned to marry him. Ning Shu and Wu Xianrou looked at each other. Ning Shu smiled faintly while Wu Xianrou curled her lips. She seemed to despise Ning Shu. As soon as Wu Xianrou left, Ning Shu sat beside Song Yi's bed. He looked at Song Yi's face and kept staring at him. Song Yi touched his face. "Is there something on my face? Why do you keep staring at me?" Ning Shu nodded. "I smell a sour smell of love." "Sour smell?" Song Yi was a little confused. He raised his hand and sniffed his body. "There's no smell." Ning Shu said, "I mean, boss, you're in love. Your face is full of love." Song Yi's face darkened. "Don't talk nonsense. It seems that you're enjoying it. Actually, boss, you can try to date Miss Wu. She's the kind of person who pays attention to feelings. This way, you can report to Political Commissar Wu and Wu Xianrou. Wu Xianrou will definitely accept it if you change from marriage to dating," Ning Shu said to Song Yi. Zhu Yi looked at Ning Shu in confusion. Was it really good to let the two of them date? Wasn't she the one who hoped that the two of them wouldn't get together? What was she doing now? Song Yi touched his forehead. "That's a good idea. Date first and then get married. Follow the normal procedure. The reason why Miss Wu is so against marrying you is that it's too fast. She hasn't enjoyed some feelings yet." Song Yi apologized to Ning Shu. "I have to thank you for giving me this idea. Some things are really best understood by women." Ning Shu just said, "You're welcome. As long as boss is happy." Song Yi looked at Ning Shu. "You'll find happiness too." Well, this was pretty much a blatant rejection. Ning Shu's expression didn't change. He nodded. "I will." The atmosphere was a little stiff. Ning Shu smiled. "If you need any advice or have any trouble with dating, you can find me." Song Yi smiled. "I'll have to trouble you then." Song Yi was tempted by Wu Xianrou. Dating is not a simple thing. You have to remember special dates. For example, the date of the relationship. The 14th of every month is Valentine's Day. There are all kinds of Valentine's Days, so you have to prepare a unique gift. Ning Shu stuffed a piece of orange into his mouth to moisten his throat. "Song Yi, are you sure dating is really so troublesome?" Song Yi's expression was a little strange. "It's not troublesome. It's a kind of pleasure. It's something that males have to do to gain the favor of females. In the animal world, there are duels to compete for females. It's the same principle." "Zhu Yi, your description is not beautiful at all," Zhu Yi couldn't help but say. "It's fine as long as the nature is the same," Ning Shu said with a shrug. Ning Shu had also visited the patient. He transferred his second brother's ward. Ning Shu asked Zhu Yi if he wanted to transfer to another ward. What was the point of standing there like a big light bulb? Zhu Yi waved his hand. He wanted to stay in this ward. It was too boring to recuperate. It would be a waste not to watch a good show. Ning Shu let him be. Don't go in front of people who are in love. Who knows when you'll step on a landmine? Ning Shu left the military hospital and went back to practice his skills. If a person insisted on walking down a path, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't be stopped. Although Ning Shu didn't go to the hospital, Zhu Yi, who loved to watch the fun and gossip, called him every day. He reported Song Yi and Wu Xianrou's situation, saying that the two of them had confirmed their relationship. There was all kinds of chaos, sweetness, and all kinds of problems. Ning Shu just listened and didn't make any comments. However, the political commissar has been urging the two of them to get married, Zhu Yi said. The political commissar is very satisfied with boss. He can't wait for the two of them to get married immediately. It's not a business deal. I heard that Wu Xianrou's mother died early, and the political commissar is very busy with work. The political commissar probably knows Wu Xianrou's character, so he's in a hurry to let the two of them get married. Ning Shu had always guessed this in his heart. It was said that a daughter was her father's lover in his previous life. How could he bear to let his daughter get married like this? It wasn't easy for Wu Xianrou to find a man who would tolerate her. Song Yi was that good man. Ning Shu hung up the phone and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate, using spirit energy to heal the internal injuries in his body. Chapter 1738. As for the matter between Song Yi and Wu Xianrou, since they weren't married, there was room for negotiation. Occasionally, when other teams needed female special forces soldiers to do missions, Ning Shu would do it. In Song Yi's team, most of the people were idle. Their leader was injured, and they seemed to be in a relationship now. They didn't take any missions, and the higher-ups wouldn't give them any missions. Not doing missions meant that they wouldn't get any bonuses. This was also a job. Ning Shu still had the chance to go on missions with other teams. Of course, these were all small missions. Her mission was to be an assistant. Running back and forth wasn't as good as doing a big mission. Ning Shu didn't care much about the bonus. He just hoped that his resume could be more beautiful. Merits were accumulated bit by bit. It was better than a blank piece of paper. Occasionally, he would take time to visit the patients in the military hospital. Anyway, as soon as Ning Shu entered the ward, the atmosphere would become very subtle. After confirming their relationship, Wu Xianrou became more vigilant against Ning Shu. She hugged Song Yi's arm to declare her sovereignty. Song Yi didn't say anything. He just looked at Wu Xianrou with tolerance and affection. Wu Xianrou was very cute like this. Ning Shu smiled lightly and congratulated Song Yi and Wu Xianrou. Song Yi's injury was almost healed. He could get out of bed and walk. His body was already in good condition, so he was about to be discharged. However, Wu Xianrou asked Song Yi to recuperate in the hospital more. The reason was that once Song Yi was discharged, he would have to do missions again. It was better to recuperate in the hospital more. Anyway, Song Yi didn't have to pay for it. Ning Shu just smiled silently at this. Free things were good things, so she wanted to take them for herself. Song Yi didn't have to pay for it. The money was paid for by the taxpayers. However, Song Yi really stayed in the hospital. He probably wanted to have more opportunities to spend time with Wu Xianrou. Ning Shu felt very complicated at this moment. He finally understood the client's feelings. It was the same face, but it suddenly became different. There was no sense of integrity. Even if the world was his enemy, he would be satisfied with being with the person he loved. Ning Shu only wanted to say, if you have the ability, get out of the hospital. Don't make the whole world your enemy. These resources are provided by the country and the people. If you have the ability, don't use them. Food, clothing, housing, and transportation were all not provided by humans. If they were so stubborn, they would starve to death. She always thought that once she broke away from the secular world, her righteous and resolute love would ascend to heaven. Previously, he had endured it because he respected Song Yi, his superior. Now, the anger in his heart was surging. What's your name? Song Yi and I are now in a relationship. Please take care of Song Yi in the future, Wu Xianrou said to Ning Shu as she held Song Yi's arm. It had been a long time since Ning Shu had encountered such a low-level quarrel. Ning Shu's heart did not waver in the slightest. For the sake of a man, The two women tore each other apart and pulled the scales in the man's heart to their side as a victory. Ning Shu didn't even feel like replying. It was a complete waste of saliva. She didn't care about her image in Song Yi's heart at all. She didn't love or ask for anything. Although Ning Shu didn't say anything, Wu Xianrou still felt despised. Wu Xianrou felt that this female soldier despised her. Song Yi, is this the soldier you lead? When others talk to her, she doesn't even reply. Wu Xianrou pouted. Ning Shu said, Miss Wu, as long as you're happy it's fine. Without Wu Xianrou pulling aggro in front of the monsters, Song Yi wouldn't have the chance to appear majestically. Now, he had to pull her aggro and fight this boss. Ning Shu said, be careful, or you'll be instantly sent back to the city when your health bar is empty. Ning Shu looked at Song Yi. Superior, don't stay in the hospital after you recover. Everyone is waiting for you to come back and take on the mission. Wu Xianrou immediately said, do you still have any humanity? He's injured, and you still want him to take on the mission. Song Yi is not a robot. He's a human. He can feel pain and bleed, okay? Ning Shu was expressionless. So it was only Song Yi who was suffering. The others weren't suffering. Then who's going to do the mission? Miss Wu, are you going to do it? Ning Shu asked coldly. Aren't there other people? I'll tell my father to let Song Yi rest more, Wu Xianrou said directly. Wu Xianrou said directly, could it be that without Song Yi, the earth would stop spinning? Or could it be that without Song Yi, the country would be destroyed? Wu Xianrou was trying to quibble, right? She was trying to change the concept. An individual's power was insignificant. Even if it was a screw, it should stay where a screw should stay. This was a matter of responsibility. Ning Shu rubbed his temples. Okay, you're the main character. Whatever you say is right. You're all right. Song Yi was very happy with Wu Xianrou's protection of him. He even seemed to be a little touched. Everyone hoped to live the life they wanted. As someone who had been through a storm of bullets, these concerns were very heartwarming, especially from the woman he liked. Ning Shu really couldn't help but curse in his heart. The power of love was really great, very great. Second brother and Zhu Yi were discharged from the hospital one after another. Only Song Yi was still lying like a corpse in the military hospital. Moreover, they occupied an entire ward. There were originally 4 beds. It was enough for Song Yi and Wu Xianrou to change beds. They slept on one bed a day and changed back and forth. Ning Shu really felt a little annoyed. Everyone in the team was waiting for the mission orders. In the end, the captains seemed to have settled down in the hospital. A group of people looked at the other teams. They went back and forth, completing one mission after another. Everyone could only sigh. Second brother, can you go and talk to the boss? Zhu Yi said to his second brother. If there's no mission, then train by yourself. Have you completed your daily training mission? Now Song Yi and Miss Wu are in a relationship. This is related to Song Yi's future. Don't get close to them. Since second brother said so, the others couldn't say anything. They adjusted their state of mind. However, Song Yi's behavior really made his comrades who had been supporting each other and could leave their backs to each other a little disappointed. Zhu Yi said listlessly, the boss is too serious about valuing women over loyalty. I just chatted with a girl on the internet. It made me lose interest. Ning Shu's lips twitched. I think your third line should be broken. The whole military hospital knew that Song Yi and Wu Xianrou were in a relationship. More people were talking about Song Yi's promotion. On the other hand, Ning Shu's group was more miserable. With such a powerful boss, their subordinates were ostracized. Where there were people, there would be discord. Since the last mission, they hadn't done any missions for a while. Ning Shu sometimes did some small missions. He didn't do any big missions. Chapter 1739. On the other hand, the other teams all had their own missions. There were always missions for them to complete, making their team a freeloader. Song Yi flirted with Wu Xianrou in the hospital every day, and they suffered in the military compound. The atmosphere was gloomy. They went through all kinds of training to become special forces. In addition to working for the country, it was also for the generous salary. If they did nothing all day, They would be kicked out sooner or later. It was not good to call Song Yi, so Ning Shu and the others were like candles. They were occasionally sent out for small missions, and they could do it alone. So they were now in a free-range state. Ning Shu felt that if he appeared in front of these two people, it would probably cause some misunderstanding. He could not go up and add color to their love. Reproduction was a biological instinct, and love was something beautified on the basis of reproduction. Ning Shu really wanted to give Song Yi a big slap on the face. Our team members looked at you too so sweetly. I turned a blind eye to your performance. Ning Shu, who was lying under the car repairing the car, heard his phone ring. Ning Shu got out from under the car, took off his gloves full of oil, and picked up the phone. It was Song Yi. Song Yi's voice was very serious. There is an important mission now. Come to the office. Hearing Song Yi's serious and steady voice, Ning Shu was a little stunned. He felt that Song Yi was back. Ning Shu changed his clothes as fast as he could and went to the office. Everyone in the team was there. Song Yi was wearing a camouflage uniform. He was strong and tall, and his expression was resolute. In the Middle East, there are oil company employees who were kidnapped by terrorists. Some team's mission is to rescue the hostages, and our team's mission is to cooperate with the local government to capture the terrorists' family members and exchange them, Song Yi said. This mission is very dangerous. Tell me if you don't want to go. Song Yi glanced at his men. This was a very chaotic and very rich place. It was where oil was concentrated. But this place was very chaotic, turbulent, and war-torn. It was a place where terrorists were entrenched. The mission will be accomplished. We promise to complete the mission. Everyone stood up and said in a resounding voice. However, it was so solemn that the blood in their bodies couldn't help but surge to their heads, and goosebumps all over their bodies. Song Yi's phone rang. This was a little awkward. Song Yi went out of the office to answer the phone. It was supposed to be a mobilization meeting, but it ended so anticlimactically. Isn't speed the most important thing in war? Fight for time. Everyone had a constipated look on their faces. There was no need to mention how helpless they were. Ning Shu looked at the watch on his wrist. Should we leave now? The longer we delay, the more dangerous the hostage will be. Second brother looked at the door. It's time to go. We have to wait for boss. Song Yi, who had made the call, came in. He looked like he was struggling. Being stared at by his subordinates, he couldn't say a word. Ning Shu frowned as he looked at Song Yi. Was Song Yi going to back out now? Didn't Song Yi know how precious time was? Boss, it's time to go. Zhu Yi said to Song Yi. Song Yi said with difficulty, Today is Wu Xianrou's birthday. Zhu Yi's jaw dropped to the ground. So, we have to catch the families of the terrorists and rescue the hostages. Birthdays happen every year. Why don't you guys go? I won't go. After Song Yi said this, he felt like something had collapsed, but he couldn't explain it clearly. Now, not only was Zhu Yi's jaw dropped, but the whole team was staring at Song Yi in horror. Was he going to reject such an urgent mission just to celebrate a birthday? This was not only related to the lives of the oil company's employees, but also related to the country's reputation. When a country's citizens were in trouble and couldn't get help from the country, what sense of belonging was there? The atmosphere was like a cold current, completely freezing everyone. Song Yi, do you know what you're doing? Second brother said to Song Yi, as our captain, you didn't take us to do the mission. Time is tight now. It's just a birthday. Come back and make it up to Miss Wu. How could Song Yi not know the seriousness of the matter? But Wu Xianrou said that it was their first birthday together. Song Yi also explained the mission this time, but Wu Xianrou didn't listen. She didn't listen. She even forced Song Yi to make a choice, as if their love would become great. Ning Shu raised his wrist and looked at his watch, then looked out of the window. Military helicopters were leaving the military compound one after another. The other teams had already set off. How long would they have to wait? There are priorities. Let's talk about the mission after the mission. Now it's a matter of life and death. I'll explain it to Miss Wu when I come back. Ning Shu sighed. No matter what, there's no time to worry about this birthday. Song Yi was now in a dilemma. He didn't know how to choose. He felt that two important things had appeared in his life. In the past, it was work. Now, there was a person, and it seemed that he had to choose one of the two. What kind of choice was this? Song-yi looked at his subordinates and nodded. Let's do the mission first. Song-yi turned off his phone. It was a burden to carry on the mission. After some reorganization, the group boarded the military helicopter. Song-yi was a little absent-minded. He looked at the blue sky and white clouds outside the window. He probably felt that he had rejected Wu Xianro. He probably regretted it now. Ning Shu wiped the gun in his hand and checked the various equipment on his body. If he wasn't careful, he could lose his life. There were too many terrorists in that place. And their mission was to catch the family members of the criminals. The atmosphere in the cabin was very solemn. If it was in the past, everyone would definitely say something to relax and adjust the atmosphere. But now, everyone's hearts were heavy, and the team was no longer as tacit as before. Song-yi was helpless in this situation, but he also felt that some things were no longer pure. It had become complicated. He felt that no matter what he did, he couldn't do it without hurting anyone. Song-yi tried to say, "After these missions, I'll treat you. Eat whatever you want." "Thank you, boss." "Thank you." A few scattered responses made Song-yi feel very uncomfortable in his heart. "Wu Jing." Song-yi reached out and patted Ning Shu, who was sitting in front of him. Ning Shu turned and asked, "What's wrong? Did I become like this because I'm going to get married?" Song-yi asked Ning Shu. "No, it's because you found a girl. You chose this girl, so you're destined to drift away from us." Ning Shu said straightforwardly, "If you have to choose a side, you won't feel so uncomfortable being stuck in the middle." If he didn't want to give up anything, he might not get anything in the end. Chapter 1740. In the plot, Song-yi chose love, and at the same time he was promoted step by step. He was considered a winner in life. Their friendship was replaced by love. It didn't mean that it was wrong. Comrades need to fight side by side, and love needs time to protect. "So, this is an unsolvable problem," Ning Shu said. There was a propeller above his head, so Ning Shu had to speak very loudly. Song-yi closed his eyes slightly. "There is another way, which is to give up on Wu Xianro." "You can't do it, so this is unsolvable," Ning Shu said. "There is something I don't know if I should say." "Say it," Song-yi said. "Actually, Miss Wu's love for you is overbearing. If you are with Wu Xianro, you have to stay away from us comrades because we will take up your time. Miss Wu wants you to treat her as the center of your world." The relationship between people was on the same net, and they were all connected. Wu Xianro's subconscious almost wanted to cut off all other connections with Song-yi. She had to be absolutely loyal and unswerving. She also had to dote on him. Her mother died when she was young, and her father was busy with work. It wasn't strange that Wu Xianro had such a personality. Song-yi was silent. Ning Shu was too lazy to say anything. If some things could be explained clearly, there wouldn't be so many bullshit problems. The military helicopter landed on the land of the Middle East. There were mountains of wealth and oil under this land. As soon as he got off the plane, Song-yi adjusted his state of mind. It was useless to say anything now. He had to complete the mission well. He had to cooperate with the local government to catch the families of the terrorists. It was a kind of shameless feeling that if you catch me, I will catch you too. Moreover, this mission was very difficult. The families of these people were usually protected, and the power of these terrorists was not to be underestimated. Now, it was time to use all kinds of martial arts. It was easy to kill a person, but it was not easy to catch someone alive. But this was the country's mission, and they had to do it. Everyone lurked, waiting for the opportunity. There were many armed forces around the villa. They had guns in their hands, and they kept patrolling back and forth. Song-yi made a few gestures. Everyone understood and then spread out. They tried to kill people without shooting. Ning Shu covered a man's mouth from behind. He slit the man's neck with a dagger, and the man died. Ning Shu dragged the corpse into the bushes. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Then, as if they had poked a hornet's nest, the gunshots continued. Ning Shu held the pistol and leaned against the wall. Now, They could only force their way into the villa and kidnap the hostages. Ning Shu fired a shot at the ceiling using the wire rope. Ning Shu grabbed the rope and climbed up the wall like a gecko. Bang bang. Someone below Ning Shu opened fire. Ning Shu pulled the rope with one hand and shot the people below with the other. With the support of the rope, Ning Shu dodged left and right and quickly flashed into the window. There were infrared rays everywhere in the villa. Ning Shu took out a special flashlight and twisted his body to avoid the infrared rays. The gunshots became more and more frequent, indicating that the battle between the two sides was very intense. Among them, there were not only people from the country, but also military forces from the local government. Ning Shu opened the door. Someone flashed in front of him. Ning Shu quickly raised his gun and pointed at the corner. "Who is it? Come out." Ning Shu said in a low voice. "It's me." Song Yi said. Ning Shu made an "oh" sound. Song Yi stood up against the wall. There was blood on his body. Ning Shu, Song Yi, and a few other people began to search the entire villa. Finally, they found several children in a room. The youngest of these children were 1 or 2 years old, and the oldest was 7 or 8 years old. And the older children had guns in their hands, aiming at the people who broke in. These children's faces were cold and fierce. They almost did not hesitate to shoot. Song Yi directly shot the head of the leader of the children. Blood splashed on the ground. Ning Shu's expression did not change. Although these children were young, they were already child soldiers. As the family of terrorists, they also killed people. Together, they saw several children tied up. The eyes of these children were like wolf cubs. They couldn't wait to pounce on them and bite them. Zhu Yi didn't pay attention and was bitten on the hand, bleeding. Zhu Yi just frowned, tied up the children, and left the villa as fast as he could. "Quick, there's a bomb in the villa." Song Yi carried a child and said while shooting. He was afraid that someone had entered the room and triggered the infrared rays. The bomb had already started counting down. These wolf cubs were still laughing at Ning Shu and the others. The sound of beeping seemed to echo in his ears. Ning Shu released his spiritual force and checked the bomb in the villa. He found that it was not a bomb, but a lot of advanced bombs connected together. There was no way to solve it. There was no time to solve it. Everyone sped up. There were still people outside blocking them. It seemed that they wanted to lock them in the room and not blow up with the villa. Ning Shu gritted his teeth and shot quickly. Ning Shu shot people's vital points, head, eyes, and heart. This was the fastest way to make people lose their ability to move. Ning Shu's heart was beating, she was panting like a cow, and sweat was flowing down. Then there was a rumbling sound in her ears. Ning Shu felt that she was pushed out of the villa by someone and crawled on the ground. The heat wave and the ruins of the building smashed on her body. Ning Shu's brain was almost blank. She quickly released her spiritual force and avoided the debris that was about to fall. Ning Shu bit her cheeks and ran away with a baby in her hand. The person who pushed her from behind was dead. She remembered it was Zhu. Zhu Yi was killed by the explosion. Ning Shu's tears almost flowed out uncontrollably, and her eyes were so sore that she couldn't open them. "Go!" Song Yi almost roared at Ning Shu. In the huge explosion, Ning Shu's ears were temporarily deaf. She couldn't hear anything. She only saw Song Yi waving at her. His face was distorted and couldn't be seen clearly in the sky full of dust. Ning Shu carried the baby, gritted her teeth, and caught up with Song Yi. They arrived at the designated place to meet. She got on the military helicopter as fast as she could. Fourth brother sacrificed himself. Song Yi's eyes were filled with tears. Everyone bit their cheeks and tears still flowed out. This was the fate of soldiers. Zhu Yi died like this. Did Zhu Yi, who died at this time, and Wu Jing, who died at that time, hold the same beliefs? Ning Shu covered her heart. She felt that something was blocking her heart. It was so uncomfortable that she wanted to beat her chest and stamp her feet to remove the stone pressing on her heart. It was so heavy that she couldn't bear it. Her tears were like a broken dam. She couldn't tell what she was feeling. She only felt that it was a particularly complicated and inexplicable feeling of trembling. Ning Shu's ears were very uncomfortable. They kept buzzing. She had a concussion. Chapter 1741. Ning Shu's body trembled uncontrollably. Ning Shu took a deep breath. Her ears were buzzing, and it was very uncomfortable. Ning Shu saw Song Yi's mouth open and close, but she couldn't hear what he was saying. Ning Shu rubbed her ears, and her other hand was bitten by a child. The child who was biting her hand was about 5 or 6 years old. His eyes were full of hatred. He bit Ning Shu's hand so hard that blood oozed out of his teeth. Ning Shu directly reached out and pressed hard on his ribs. The child was caught off guard by the pain and opened his mouth to cry out. Ning Shu looked at her hand. There were deep teeth marks on it. The child was lying on the ground and staring at her fiercely. Not only that, several children were staring at her. This feeling was like being surrounded by wolf pups, austere and cruel. Such a small child could kill people without any psychological burden. There was nothing that terrorists couldn't do. Are you okay? The second brother hurriedly sprayed medicine on Ning Shu's wound. Ning Shu mobilized her almost negligible spiritual energy to repair her injured ear. At the same time, she released her spiritual energy to see if there were any bombs on these children. It was normal for them to be suicide bombers. They used their own bodies as cover. Ning Shu scanned the 5 children back and forth. In the end, she found that 4 children had miniature bombs on them, but 1 child didn't. It was the child who bit Ning Shu. It seemed that this child was the most important person. Ning Shu touched her ears and felt that she could hear a little. She leaned close to Song Yi's ear and said, "These children may have bombs on them." Song Yi frowned, grabbed a child, and checked him up and down. The child giggled. Out of a keen sense of danger, Song Yi threw the child out of the airport almost without thinking. Before the child landed on the ground, it exploded in midair with a bang. The child was blown apart. Blood sprayed. The people on the military helicopter didn't look very good. One by one, they checked the children for bombs. Ning Shu snatched the miniature remote control from the child's hand. "Don't think that I didn't see this child pressing it just now. Give it back to me, you bastard." Being snatched away by Ning Shu, the child immediately shouted at him with a twisted face. Ning Shu took a piece of tape and wrapped it around the child's mouth. The remaining 3 children also had their mouths covered. Ning Shu looked at the remote control that was about the size of a car key. There was only one red button on it. Once touched, the children in the cabin might explode. A plane full of people suffered. Song Yi put away the remote control. Maybe this is a good idea. Pressing the button during the exchange of hostages was simply too satisfying. Ning Shu sat on a chair and tilted his head to look at the dust below. A comrade who had gone through thick and thin with him had died just like that, accompanied by blood and sacrifice. Ning Shu asked Song Yi, "Boss, how much money can we give 4th brother's wife?" A white-haired person sending off his black hair. "I will try my best to fight for the highest compensation." Song Yi wiped his face. His eyes were a little red. This was his subordinate. When something happened, he felt worse than anyone else. Ning Shu turned on the water bottle and drank it. His head kept buzzing. Song Yi took out his phone from the cabinet on the plane and prepared to report this incident. However, as soon as he turned on his phone, text messages and phone calls came one after another. One of them was a call from Commissar Wu, saying that Wu Xianro had come here. When Song Yi heard this, he was petrified. Why did Wu Xianro come to such a dangerous place? Not only was Song Yi petrified, but the entire cabin was instantly frozen. Song Yi almost roared and shouted, "I'm doing a mission. Why did Wu Xianro come here?" Commissar Wu didn't care about Song Yi's attitude and said anxiously, "I said that you were doing a mission, and it was a very dangerous mission. That girl said that it was because it was dangerous that she came to see you." The people in the cabin. Song Yi's eyes were red. He fidgeted with his hair and said impatiently, "Why didn't you stop her? What's the use of her coming here? She will only implicate others." Song Yi had just lost a subordinate, and now Wu Xianro was running here. She was a weak woman, but she had to run to such a dangerous place. Song Yi's heart felt like it was being tortured in a pot of oil. Song Yi's words were so rude that it made Commissar Wu feel a little uncomfortable. She was in the wrong, but she did it because she was worried about you. I stopped her. She sneaked away with her passport. Song Yi's face and neck were red. He looked like he was about to explode. Song Yi wiped his face fiercely and said calmly, I know. Song Yi, I hope you can send my daughter back safely. She is too willful. I will educate her well. Song Yi hung up the phone. He was so angry that he wanted to smash the phone, but he still dialed Wu Shenrou's number. However, the other party's phone was turned off. Her phone was turned off. He didn't know if she was on the plane or kidnapped by someone. How could such a delicate girl not have an accident? Song Yi's mind was in a mess. Ning Shu was speechless. He really didn't know what Wu Shenrou was thinking. They were here to do the mission, not to visit the amusement park. Why would they join just because she said so? If they were careless, they would lose the whole game and disrupt the plan. It was very likely that all their efforts would go down the drain. There was also the life of the oil company's employees. Did she really think that with love, she would have countless powers and become a super scion, invulnerable to swords and bullets? Was this kind of thing a joke? What the hell was Wu Shenrou doing? Ning Shu coughed and asked Song Yi loudly, Boss, are you touched? Song Yi looked at Ning Shu with red eyes. Obviously, he didn't understand why Ning Shu said that. Ning Shu said, Miss Wu came to see you regardless of her own safety. It's really a romantic love of war. As soon as Ning Shu's words came out, the people in the cabin let out an unclear chuckle. Song Yi looked at Ning Shu and said, What time is it now? Why are you still talking to me about this? Well, Ning Shu said faintly, I hope that fourth brother's sacrifice can be exchanged for the success of this mission. I told you to stop talking. All of you stop talking. Song Yi directly got angry at Ning Shu and said, I know what you mean. I don't feel uncomfortable in my heart, I don't feel pain. After getting angry at Ning Shu, Song Yi held his head, his body slightly trembling. Ning Shu pursed his lips. Boss, don't worry. After the hostage is handed over, we will accompany you to find Miss Wu. The atmosphere was so stiff that the second brother came out to smooth things over. Chapter 1742. Yes, when the mission is completed, we will go find Miss Wu, the others agreed. The atmosphere was not very good anyway. Ning Shu apologized. I was wrong, I apologize. Ning Shu felt his back was hot. Zhu Yi had pushed her back before. At the moment of the explosion, he pushed her out. Song Yi wiped his face. I know what to do. Let's do the mission first. Song Yi almost didn't dare to imagine that a woman would appear in such a dangerous place. This was a place where terrorists were entrenched, all kinds of conflicts, and all kinds of criminal activities were frequent. Wu Shenrou had no ability to protect herself. Her combat ability was -5. In a place like this, even women had to wear a black headscarf when they went out. She had been caught, raped, or injured. Song Yi quickly stopped his imagination. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the ground and chanted the Taoist Expiation Sutra in her heart. She said to 2333 in her heart, I want to give some merit to Zhu. With merit, he can reincarnate into a better person. Can you? Ning Shu asked 2333. 2333 was silent for a moment. I will try. So many people die in this world every day. It is not easy to find one among so many souls. How much merit do you want to give? I advise you not to give too much. If you give too much, he will be eaten by something. After all, merit is a good thing. 2333 said. Ning Shu didn't know how much merit was appropriate, so he asked, How much merit do you think is appropriate? Let's make it 5. It is not eye-catching. Also, your hands are stained with blood. The merit can also reduce some karma, 2333 suggested. Okay, let's make it 5. Ning Shu opened his eyes and looked at his hands. The joints of his hands were full of calluses. Every once in a while, he had to cut off the calluses with nail scissors. His hands were stained with blood. But so what? After a while, Ning Shu asked 2333, found it? Wait a little longer. You try to find a needle in a haystack. It is not easy for me to locate it, 2333 said angrily. As the helicopter gradually descended, second brother said to Song Yi, we've arrived. Let's meet up with the other teams first. Song Yi took a deep breath and nodded, but his body was stiff and trembling. Ning Shu carried the child off the plane, and other teams came to pick up the children. Song Yi told the commander everything, including the fact that there was a miniature bomb hidden in the child's body. Now, let's wait for the other teams to finish their rescue. If the rescue is successful, we won't need to exchange hostages. If the rescue fails, we'll need to exchange hostages. You guys take the time to rest, Song Yi said to his team members. Song Yi went to one of the tents to rest. Ning Shu went to the other tent and lay down on the bed, closing his eyes to rest. She hoped that the rescue would be successful. If not, then they wouldn't have to fight again. Ning Shu 2333 asked, Are you done? All right. Oh, Ning Shu replied. Sleeping in the tent wasn't very comfortable. Just as she was in a daze, she felt someone outside the tent and immediately woke up. He opened the zipper of the tent and saw that it was second brother. He asked, Did you do a mission? The atmosphere is unusual. It seems that the rescue plan was not very successful. They need to exchange hostages and need our team to go out, second brother said. He looked at Ning Shu and said with a heavy heart, The boss's mind is unstable. We have to be more careful. Fourth brother has been sacrificed. I don't want the team to lose any more members. Ning Shu nodded. I know. I will be careful. How is the boss now? His condition is not very good. He is very worried about Miss Wu. How can Miss Wu come here so carelessly? Second brother rubbed his eyebrows tiredly. Ning Shu said lightly, I guess the ignorant are not afraid. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. They rush to such a dangerous place to find people. After a while, Song Yi came to inform them to gather. They had to go to the designated location to ambush. They had to ensure the safety of the oil company's employees during the exchange of hostages. They brought all their equipment with them and hid under the hot steam that was dripping with sweat. Sweat dripped down. Both sides were exchanging hostages. At a glance, there were tanks, planes, and other than the soldiers on the surface, there were also hidden snipers and special forces teams. The oil company's employees were detained on one side, and a few children were taken out on the other side. Slowly, batches of employees came over from the other side and boarded the plane under the escort of the guards. They sent the children over, but they were very black-bellied. After sending them over, they directly pressed the button. With a few bangs, the terrorists exploded. This was a signal. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes, aimed at the target, and shot at the head. Not only did they have to keep the hostages safe, but they also had to make these terrorists afraid. In order to cause chaos and unrest, these terrorists who were in a fanatical state at all times could really do anything. For a moment, there was a rain of bullets around them. The sound of bullets piercing through flesh and blood exploded into a ball of blood. Ning Shu felt the bullets whistling past him. Song Yi led a team of people to chase and command the actions of a team of people. However, Ning Shu felt that Song Yi's condition wasn't very good. He was almost shot several times. He bit his cheeks when he killed people, as if he had a deep hatred. When he killed people, he didn't care about anything. He rushed forward like a hothead, which made people tremble in fear. Everyone in the team understood his feelings. He was worried about Wu Xianro, who had run here, and was anxious to find her. Second brother pulled Song Yi. Boss, don't chase too fiercely. It's enough. Otherwise, the firepower will concentrate on you. Song Yi bit his cheeks and calmed down. Ning Shu raised her gun and fired a shot, aiming at the terrorist's head. Boss, this is a battlefield. You have to abandon all distracting thoughts and lead us, Ning Shu shouted to Song Yi as he pulled the bolt and fired. Entering such a battlefield, Ning Shu found that his body seemed to be completely out of control. He fired, dodged, and fired. All the hair on his body stood on end. He didn't know if it was because of fear or hot blood, but it made people tremble uncontrollably. Ning Shu calmed his heart and followed Song Yi's footsteps. He carried his gun and faced the heat of the desert. Ning Shu didn't know how many people he had killed. His mind was full of living and then killing. Retreat. Song Yi received an order through his earpiece and said to everyone. Someone in the team was injured and was pulled back by the arm. Chapter 1743. When they were retreating, Song Yi was the fastest to run. Although they were working for the country and it was glorious, they were the first to run back. The higher-ups would think that they were slacking off. But there should be a location and they would know where they were. But was there really no problem with retreating so quickly? Song Yi went to report the situation. Then he rushed back and said to his team members, "You guys rest. I'm going to find Wu Xianrou." "Let's go together," second brother said to Song. Song Yi waved his hand. "Sixth brother and third brother are injured. You guys stay here and take care of them. This is my private matter. It's not good for you guys to go. I'll go with you," Ning Shu said to Song. "We should check the flight information now." Ning Shu didn't know why Wu Xianrou wanted to come to this place. For a country like this, every time a flight landed safely, it was a kind of luck. There would be a standing ovation to celebrate the new life. This showed how turbulent it was. Even a plane landing safely was something worth celebrating. In their own country, did they need to worry about such things? "Boss, don't panic. I'll help you check." Little Gio took out his computer and his fingers danced quickly on the keyboard. Song Yi looked at Little Gio nervously and asked, "Did you find out?" Little Gio nodded and looked at the watch on his wrist. "If we rush to the airport now, we might be able to make it. But if something happens to the plane, we can't guarantee anything." Song Yi checked the fuel level of the Jeep to see if there was anything wrong with the car. He was about to head to the airport. Ning Shu asked Little Gio where the airport was and when the flight landed. Then, he arranged his gun and tools and sat in the Jeep. "Go down. You don't need to go. Just wait here," Song Yi said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu sighed. "Everyone is tired and worried about you. I can only go with you." Song Yi pursed his lips and started the car. The car drove very fast. Ning Shu was staggering behind. "Old driver, slow down." He ran all the way to the airport, only to be told that the flight had been delayed. In other places, flight delays were not a big deal. But here, it meant that the plane might have been hijacked. The lives of the people on the plane could be in danger. Furthermore, they were still out of contact. Song Yi's face suddenly became extremely ugly. A fist slammed into the wall. Ning Shu could feel the pain just by looking at it. Ning Shu blinked. Could it be that he was going to transfer a military helicopter to find Wu Xianrou? Ning Shu was still thinking in his heart when Song Yi called and asked Old Six, the super pilot, to fly the military helicopter over. Ning Shu was speechless. Is it really okay to use it without authorization? On the other side, Old Six hesitated and said, "Boss, the helicopters have all left to send the oil company's employees back to their country." "Are there no more?" Song Yi asked impatiently. "Boss, there are, but the helicopters are taking priority to send the oil company's employees back. Also, I don't have the right to use the helicopters." Old Six scratched his head and said very awkwardly, "A soldier's duty was to obey." Although the special forces were relatively more free, it was still not allowed to use them casually. "You use it first. I'll bear the consequences," Song Yi said directly. "Boss, that's not good," Old Six said hesitantly. "It's okay. I'll bear the consequences." 6. Miss Wu's plane was hijacked. Song Yi was anxious and had to explain clearly to Old Six. Old Six wiped his face. "Shouldn't we report this matter? Miss Wu is a citizen of our country, and she's also Political Commissar Wu's daughter. We definitely have to do our best to rescue her." "Wait for a while. When Old Two reports this matter, it won't be your private matter anymore. At that time, we can go through the procedures and get more rescue resources." Song Yi could not be punished and could even take the helicopter away. Right now, Song Yi had no right, and his subordinate, Old Six, had no right either. They could only go through the procedures. Song Yi had no choice but to wait like this. He calmed down and knew that he could not be anxious. Ning Shu stood at the side and looked at Song Yi, who was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He paced back and forth in front of her, making her feel impatient. "Boss, sit down and rest." Ning Shu patted the chair next to him. "Things haven't reached the worst point yet. It's just that the plane was delayed. We can't be sure if Miss Wu boarded the plane or not." Song Yi held his phone and kept calling Wu Xianro. His phone did not hurt, and she did not reply to his text messages. Something obviously happened. It must have happened on the plane. Song Yi sighed. Now, Wu Xianro was not only his girlfriend, but also a citizen of the country and the daughter of his superior. If something happened to Wu Xianro, he would not be able to explain it. Song Yi moved his hair back and forth and kept wiping his face. "Old Six, have the higher-ups approved it?" Song Yi called Old Six and asked. "Boss, don't worry. They're verifying Miss Wu's identity," Old Six said helplessly. "Hurry up. Time is life." When something happened to someone he cared about, the anxiety and impatience was enough to drive him crazy. Every minute and every second was so unbearable. Song Yi kept sighing, making Ning Shu really want to beat him up. "Boss, let Old Six take a breather. He can't decide whether the helicopter is approved or not. He will definitely inform you as soon as he has news," Ning Shu said calmly. Song Yi was worried. Just thinking about Wu Xianro's danger made Song Yi unable to bear it. Song Yi slumped in the chair and held his forehead with his hand. "You're a woman too. Can you understand why Wu Xianro did this?" Ning Shu said, "Wu Xianro is not a soldier after all. She doesn't know much about this. Besides, she went to such a dangerous place for you. This kind of intention is enough." "Bullshit. It's useful if you can't do it, but don't drag me down. Can't you prioritize? Don't talk about intention." At this time, staying at home and waiting to go back was the best kind of intention for Song Yi. Ning Shu wiped his face. When talking about Wu Xianro, he couldn't help but wipe his face. Some people had the capital to be willful. They could live wantonly. Song Yi sighed tiredly. "Maybe you're right. Wu Xianro is not suitable for me." Ning Shu just said, "There are two sides to everything. Since you accepted Wu Xianro as a person, you have to accept her strengths and also accept her weaknesses. Wu Xianro's personality is like that. She's naive and straightforward. She doesn't see the big picture. She values feelings. If you can tolerate her, you should. If you can't, you should part on good terms." Ning Shu's principle was to persuade people to reconcile. Chapter 1744. Ning Shu listed Wu Xianro's advantages. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Song Yi, other than beautiful? Song Yi's legs were shaking as he looked at his phone anxiously. "It's fine as long as she's pretty. Being pretty is all that matters," Ning Shu said straightforwardly. Song Yi didn't care about what he said and kept dialing. Ning Shu contacted Xiao Jiao and asked if Wu Xianro was on the missing plane. Xiao Jiao replied with one word, "Yes." Ning Shu wiped his face. Wu Xianro was like Detective Conan. No matter where she went, something would happen. But she was still alive and kicking. It was really a helpless thing. Although the helicopter didn't come over, the good news was that the good news was good. But the bad news was that the plane had landed at the airport. But the bad news was that everyone on the plane was being held hostage. The alarms of the entire airport were blaring. It was extremely ear-piercing. Someone told all the passengers to leave the airport as soon as possible and non-combatants to evacuate as soon as possible. The people at the airport were panicking. Although they were a little flustered, the situation was still under control. There were airport employees evacuating the crowd. They were quite organized when they retreated. They probably encountered this kind of thing often. Song Yi desperately rushed towards the airport, and Ning Shu hurriedly followed. The plane was surrounded by the police, but the cabin hadn't been opened yet. Obviously, the criminals wanted to use this plane to ask for something from the passengers. Now the plane has been installed with a bomb. Prepare 60 million for us, and we'll let these hostages out. The voice of the criminal came from the plane. 60 million? who was going to pay 60 million. He didn't know how many people were on the plane. Song Yi was so anxious that his eyes were red, but his professionalism made him calm down. It wouldn't do him any good to rush up like this. Who can make the decision? Who can pay? If not, you'll be shot. 1 every 10 minutes. An angry voice came from the cabin. At the same time, the cabin door opened, and a criminal was holding a flight attendant hostage. The flight attendant's neck was surrounded by the criminal's arm, and there was a gun on her head. The flight attendant was so scared that her face was pale. Her clothes were messy, and her cheeks were bruised. It was obvious that she had been beaten. Another possibility was that she had been raped. Song Yi clenched his fists tightly and went around to the side, preparing to go under the plane to the airport gate. Ning Shu observed the current situation and prepared to assist Song Yi at any time. Seeing that no one paid attention to him, the gangster was annoyed and immediately shouted, "No one paid, this person can go to hell." The criminal shot the stewardess in the head and then let go. The stewardess fell out of the plane. Her body was in a strange position, and her body was still twitching. Half of her head was unrecognizable because of the bullet. The criminal's actions frightened the airport staff. Only then did the sirens of the police cars arrive. The robber kidnapped another passenger, and this passenger happened to be Wu Xianrou. Wu Xianrou's face was pale. Fortunately, her clothes were not as messy as the stewardess. Apparently, she had not suffered. However, under normal circumstances, Wu Xianrou would not insult anyone who was insulted. Wu Xianrou was shocked. She felt the cold muzzle on her head and her heart turned cold. It was very scary and terrifying. Wu Xianrou was so scared that she cried. "Help, save her." Wu Xianrou regretted coming to this place. It was her birthday, but Song Yi didn't come. It was their first birthday together. She called her father and said that he was here for a mission. Wu Xianrou complained that her father arranged a mission for Song Yi at this time. He knew that it was her birthday, so why did he arrange a mission for Song Yi? Political Commissar Wu was also annoyed. He said that it was an important mission, and all the special forces were dispatched. Song Yi was no exception. When Wu Xianrou heard that it was very dangerous this time, she became anxious and said that she wanted to find Song Yi. Political Commissar Wu's heart suddenly jumped, and he immediately scolded her. However, Wu Xianrou said that the mission was very dangerous. What if something happened to Song Yi? She had to go and see Song Yi. Although Political Commissar Wu doted on this daughter of his, he was still someone who had been in the government for a long time. He directly locked up his daughter who was causing trouble, but Wu Xianrou was able to escape and get on the plane. Wu Xianrou would feel uncomfortable if she did not cause trouble. The result of her willfulness was that she was now kidnapped by criminals. Wu Xianrou could turn misfortune into a blessing, but other people might not. Like the stewardess, she was raped and her head exploded. When Song Yi saw Wu Xianrou being kidnapped, he was anxious, but he had to control himself. "Hurry up and give me the money. If you don't, I will kill her." The gangster waved his gun. Song Yi took advantage of the empty space, turned over, grabbed the ladder lever, and jumped onto the plane. He kicked the gangster. The criminal was kicked into the airport by Song Yi. Wu Xianrou held her head and screamed. When she was held by Song Yi, she struggled desperately. Song Yi could only say, "It's me, it's me." Wu Xianrou finally calmed down. She looked up at Song Yi, and tears suddenly came down. Seeing that someone came to save her, Wu Xianrou could cry without worry. During the period of being kidnapped, Wu Xianrou did not even dare to cry. Those criminals were extremely vicious. If anyone dared to cry, make a fuss, or struggle, they would shoot without saying anything. Song Yi. Before Wu Xianrou could say anything, Song Yi pulled her to avoid the bullets and fought with the criminals who rushed over. Wu Xianrou screamed the whole time. It was difficult for 2 hands to fight against 4 fists, not to mention that Wu Xianrou was holding them back. No matter how good Song Yi's fighting skills were, it was a bit difficult for him to resist. A criminal pointed his gun at Wu Xianrou. Obviously, he understood that Song Yi cared about and protected Wu Xianrou very much. The criminals did not care about human feelings or true love. Song Yi was stopped by someone and could only watch as the bullet flew towards Wu Xianrou. Wu Xianrou was like a fool and did not know how to dodge. Just as the bullet was about to hit Wu Xianrou, a fierce force pulled her away. The bullet grazed Wu Xianrou's arm and hit the glass of the plane with a ding. Wu Xianrou was still in shock. Song Yi took a long breath and looked at Ning Shu, who was holding Wu Xianrou. Ning Shu took the gun and aimed at the criminals in the airport. He shot and killed all the criminals who were entangled with Song Yi. Wu Xianrou was in a state of confusion. She did not react until she was pushed out of the cabin and sprained her ankle. Wu Xianrou covered her ankle and burst into tears. She had never been so embarrassed in her life. "Thank you," Song Yi said to Ning Shu while shooting. Ning Shu just said, "Although I don't like Wu Xianrou, she is a citizen of our country. I can't let her die in a foreign country." Chapter 1745. Personal grudges were not worth mentioning in front of the country's reputation. Moreover, Wu Xianrou was the daughter of Wu Zhengwei. Whether it was for public or private reasons, Wu Xianrou should be sent back safely. Zhu Yi didn't push her out to compete with this little girl for a man. Some people's willfulness was based on their capital. Their family doted on them, and after marriage, they would be doted on by their husbands. They didn't need to pay anything for a perfect life. Ning Shu dodged the bullets while reloading. Song Yi gestured to her, and Ning Shu nodded. She understood what he meant. There was a bomb on the plane. They had to get rid of these people quickly. Ning Shu shot a person and jumped out of the cabin. She grabbed Wu Xianrou, who was covering her ankle, and ran. She stuffed Wu Xianrou into the hands of the police and went back to help Song Yi. She has been handed over to the police. "Let's retreat now. There is a bomb on the plane." The police had sent the passengers away, and the passengers in the cabin were fleeing. Ning Shu and Song Yi tried to delay the criminals so that the passengers would have a chance to escape. Ning Shu and Song Yi kept retreating out of the cabin. With the support of the police, Ning Shu and Song Yi were relieved. Song Yi let out a long breath. He looked at Wu Xianrou, who was sitting there in a daze, and quickly walked over. Wu Xianrou saw Song Yi and threw herself into Song Yi's arms and cried. Ning Shu watched silently not far away. Then he contacted Xiao Jiao and Old Six and said that Wu Xianrou had been successfully rescued. There was no need to send helicopters and other team members. Xiao Jiao said, "Got it." After a while, Ning Shu walked over and said, "We should go." "Don't cry. Let's go." Song Yi patted Wu Xianrou's back. Wu Xianrou smiled at Song Yi with tears in her eyes. "Okay, let's go." Wu Xianrou's hair was stuck to her face. Song Yi pursed his lips and brushed Wu Xianrou's hair away from her face. Ning Shu was speechless. Wu Xianrou's ankle was swollen and she couldn't walk. Song Yi carried Wu Xianrou out of the airport. The three of them got into the jeep. Ning Shu tactfully sat in the driver's seat, while Song Yi and Wu Xianrou sat in the back. "Thank you for saving me," Wu Xianrou said to Song. Song Yi's expression was somewhat unfathomable. He grunted and didn't say anything. Wu Xianrou frowned. She had come all the way here. She had been hijacked and kidnapped by criminals. Song Yi's attitude was like this. "What do you mean?" Wu Xianrou felt that something was wrong and hammered Song Yi's chest. "What are you doing?" Song Yi touched his chest and said, "One of my subordinates was sacrificed. I'm not feeling well right now, so there's no point." "So what if your subordinates are sacrificed? Why are you throwing your face at me? I'm not the one who killed your subordinates." Wu Xianrou felt wronged. She was already like this, but Song Yi didn't comfort her. Didn't he promise to pamper and love her? Ning Shu drove and looked at the couple through the rearview mirror. So what if they were sacrificed? It was really disappointing that they could say something like that so casually. Wu Xianrou probably felt that she had gone a little too far, so she apologized proudly. "I'm sorry. Your attitude makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Don't worry, I'll definitely ask Dad to give more compensation to your subordinates' families." Song Yi thanked her. "Thank you." Ning Shu. This was originally the compensation that Zhu Yi's family should have received. Why was it Wu Xianrou's credit now? Ning Shu's face was cold as he met Song Yi's eyes. Song Yi shook his head at Ning Shu. Ning Shu turned the steering wheel a little too quickly. Wu Xianro staggered and hit her head on the glass. Wu Xianro rubbed her forehead and looked at Ning Shu. You did it on purpose, didn't you? The car just turned, Ning Shu said. If I did it on purpose, I wouldn't have come with Officer Song to save you. Wu Xianro pouted and didn't say anything. Ning Shu said, I have to thank you for applying for Zhu Yi's compensation. Zhu Yi was killed by an explosion. There was no corpse left. If the boss didn't come to save you in time, you might have been killed like Zhu Yi. So, please apply for more compensation for Zhu. Ning Shu smiled at Wu Xianro, showing his white teeth. Wu Xianro straightened her chest. Of course, not to mention that he was Song Yi's subordinate. Ning Shu just said, Miss Wu, you are really a reasonable person. Wu Xianro was a little puzzled that he was mocking her. Then she thought that it must be because of the compensation. Wu Xianro grinned and was quite disdainful. She seemed to be mocking Ning Shu for being a person who would lower himself for money. Song Yi wiped his face and said to Wu Xianro, I will talk to him about this. You don't have to worry about it. Don't suffer too much. Really? Wu Xianro asked Song. Song Yi nodded. Ning Shu focused on driving and arrived at the place where the team was temporarily stationed. Song Yi was going to report what had happened and let Ning Shu take care of Wu Xianro for the time being. Ning Shu took Wu Xianro to a tent. This is my tent. Familiarize yourself with it and change your clothes. I can't wear your clothes. Can you find other clothes? Wu Xianro asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu said expressionlessly, no. The situation was so urgent that no one would remember to help you carry your luggage. At this time he had to put up with it. Wu Xianro wanted to say something, but the person in front of her saved her, so she changed into Ning Shu's military uniform. Wu Xianro had red lips and white teeth. She was a beautiful female soldier in the camouflage uniform. When she came out of the tent, she attracted a lot of attention. Wu Xianro walked to Ning Shu and asked, Where did Song Yi go? Xiao Jiao, who was beside Ning Shu, asked, Where's the boss? Xiao Jiao looked up from the computer screen blankly. I don't know. Ning Shu and Wu Xianro shook their heads. I don't know. We're all checking the tools and guns. The boss should be reporting now. Oh, Wu Xianro replied. Then she limped to find Song Yi. Xiao Jiao looked at Ning Shu. I didn't expect you to really save her. She's really lucky. Don't let her hear this. She won't let you off. Don't forget her father's identity. Ning Shu wiped his gun. There was sweat on the gun and it was sticky. It was very uncomfortable and affected the feel of the gun. Xiao Jiao said indifferently, I'm not afraid of her father. Even if I leave the team, I can still live. Ning Shu looked at Xiao Jiao. You want to leave the army? It's boring. In the past, I did it because of the boss. Now that the boss has his own life goal, I have to think about my own goal. Xiao Jiao's eyes didn't leave the screen. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Ning Shu knew he was playing games just by listening to the sound. Chapter 1746. To be honest, Xiao Jiao's hand speed and skills were amazing. He was almost on par with professional players. However, Xiao Jiao, who had to do missions at all times, couldn't become a professional player. Ning Shu wiped his gun and didn't speak. Suddenly, a woman screamed. It was heart-wrenching. Ning Shu heard the voice and knew it was Wu Xianro. Xiao Jiao closed the computer. What the hell? Second brother said, Miss Wu's ankle is swollen. Most likely, the boss is setting her bones. Did she have to scream like that to set bones? The appearance of such a delicate beauty in the team made everyone feel awkward. They couldn't let go of anything. After a while, Song Yi helped Wu Xianro into the tent. Fortunately, Song Yi was careful and didn't hug Wu Xianro directly. Wu Xianro jumped on one foot. She was sweating and her face was red. However, her expression didn't look good. She obviously had a problem with Song Yi. Wu Xianro was very unhappy. Her ankle was already like this. As a boyfriend, shouldn't he hug her? When he showed his boyfriend power, Song Yi was so soft and didn't do anything. It was really annoying. Wu Xianro was a perfectionist and a romantic perfectionist. The romantic love in her fantasy must happen in reality. You can only love me, only look at me, only treat me well, love me and spoil me. You will never change your mind. The only thing that wouldn't change in the world was that everything was constantly changing. Especially the human heart, which was so complicated. 7 emotions and 6 desires, happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy. How could it not change? Song Yi sent Wu Xianro to the tent. He came out and said to Ning Shu and the others, "We may have another mission. This time, we are going to fight against the terrorists. The people above want to scare them and at the same time, deter the terrorists." Ning Shu just said, "Oh." Deterred, no one dared to kidnap or even shoot their citizens abroad. "It depends. There should be a surprise attack," Song Yi said. He looked at Ning Shu. "I have something to ask of you." Ning Shu nodded. "Go ahead. Most of the people here are men. Please help me take care of Wu Xianro," Song Yi said. "If it's too difficult, then forget it." "It's not difficult, but we can let her go back to China with those oil workers." "What is she doing here?" Ning Shu asked. "She just doesn't want to leave." Song Yi scratched his head in annoyance. "I still have to find Fourth's body later." It was not easy to find Zhu Yi's body. After all, it was beyond recognition. Moreover, there were so many dead people that it was not easy to recognize them. Ning Shu frowned and said, "Can't you say something to Wu Xianro? She clearly did something wrong." Song Yi saw that his team members and his subordinates were all staring at him, so he said, "I've already made a decision in my heart." Everyone was speechless. Was it so hard to say that he was wrong? It was so boring. The team members were all listless. Ning Shu said, "I want to find Zhu Yi's body. I may not be able to take care of Wu Xianro." The others shook their heads. "We are all men. How can we take care of a girl?" Song Yi's face was conflicted. He sighed and sighed helplessly. Ning Shu only had 2 words for this. "Serves you right." Both sides were reluctant to part with each other, so they were sandwiched. Song Yi said something to Wu Xianro. Wu Xianro angrily boarded the helicopter. It seemed that she was going back to China. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and did not speak. Love should be equal. First of all, one should be a human. Looking down on a woman and seeing her as an accessory was not equality. Looking up at a woman seemed to be praising her. This was also not equality. Equality was the right to have an equal conversation, social responsibility and obligation, equal enjoyment of social benefits and a fair competition environment. Although she was a rice worm, she still wanted to be spoiled. Although she was not good, there were good men who loved her. She always hoped for a pie to fall from the sky. Ning Shu and Song Yi set out to find Zhu Yi's body. When they returned to this place, it was a pile of rubble. The house was in ruins. It was not easy to find Zhu Yi's body like this. Fortunately, there were excavators sent by the local government to dig up the remains of the broken wall. Ning Shu sat not far away, eating compressed biscuits and drinking water while looking at the dusty villa. In this world, even the law of water could not be used. He really wanted to point his finger and have water to drink. Song Yi sat next to Ning Shu, gnawing on the biscuits that did not taste good. He was in a trance. Ning Shu was too lazy to care about him. He stuffed the leftover compressed biscuits into his big backpack and patted the biscuit crumbs on his hands. Song Yi saw that Ning Shu was not eating anymore, so she put away the biscuits. She took the water bottle and drank a mouthful. Ning Shu said, "I plan to break up with Wu Xianro." Ning Shu was stunned. "Why?" "I just feel that I can't give Wu Xianro what she wants," Song Yi said. Ning Shu just smiled. "You haven't made up your mind yet. I'm going to say something good about Wu Xianro now. I guarantee that you will change your mind. If I bless you on behalf of the whole team, you will immediately take Wu Xianro's hand and run towards the morning sun," Ning Shu said straightforwardly. "Song Yi, you will really have no friends like this." Ning Shu just rolled his eyes. "So, why are you asking me? I won't participate in the matter between you and Wu Xianro. I don't agree, and I have no opinion." Song Yi was silent. You seem to have said that you don't agree. We dug up a body here. Ning Shu and Song Yi hurried over to look at the body. From the fragments of his clothes, they could tell that it was Zhu. His leg was broken by the wall, and his hand was covering his head. The skin on his body had been burned beyond recognition by the heat wave of the bomb. It was too tragic. Although it was not to the extent that there were no bones left, it was too horrible. It was as if a layer of skin had been peeled off. When Zhu Yi's body was moved out, it was very stiff. Ning Shu took out a needle and thread from his backpack. It was a fishing line and a thick needle. He sewed up Zhu Yi's leg that was smashed by the broken wall. If Zhu Yi's family saw this, it would be as uncomfortable as a lung tube being stabbed. Song Yi wiped his face and took off his camouflage uniform to cover Zhu Yi's body. Fourth brother, I will never forget you. Song Yi took off the military cap on his head. Ning Shu sewed up Zhu Yi's body. His heart ached. He hoped that Zhu Yi would be the one being protected in the next life. Zhu Yi was not even 30 years old yet. After sewing up Zhu Yi's body, Ning Shu took off his coat and covered Zhu Yi's body. He carried Zhu Yi onto the helicopter and returned to the temporary camp. In addition to Zhu Yi's sacrifice, other special forces soldiers and snipers were also sacrificed. Rows of bodies were neatly placed together. Chapter 1747. The bodies of these martyrs were carried onto the helicopter one by one and transported back to their country. Everyone raised their heads, looked at the helicopter, and saluted. Ning Shu felt that something was constantly circling and fermenting in his heart. My blood will pour on my honor, and I will forge my achievements with my body. Especially when there was a comrade in arms lying on top of them without making a sound. Song Yi kept looking up at the helicopter. After a long time, he lowered his head. Seeing that his team members were looking at him, he said, I hope that you can live well after every mission. We also hope that the boss can live well, second brother said. Song Yi sighed faintly. Song used to be a resolute man, but recently he had sighed countless times. After sending away the remains of the martyr, Ning Shu felt a slight headache. Things happened one after another, and Ning Shu's body could not take it anymore. His nerves had been in a state of excitement. In short, his condition wasn't very good. Ning Shu climbed into the tent and took a nap. He couldn't be listless. In this line of work, he had to be in a state of concentration at all times. If he wasn't careful, he would lose his life. Sharpening the knife won't delay the work of cutting wood. Ning Shu slept for a long time. When the sky was dark, Ning Shu woke up abruptly. There were lights around him. You're awake. Come and eat something. Second brother waved at Ning Shu. Ning Shu sat down, took out his rice bowl from his bag, and scooped a bowl of fresh soup to drink. The boss wants to break up with Miss Wu. Do you know about this? Second brother Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu nodded. I know, but don't worry. They won't break up. The boss is just feeling guilty now. Plus, Wu Xianrou did such a stupid thing. He'll be fine after a while. Second brother sighed. I feel that the team doesn't have the same energy as before. Ning Shu drank the soup and didn't say anything. What energy would there be if their hearts were broken? A person only had one heart. In the past, Song Yi was alone. Now that he had someone he cared about, it was inevitable that he would be afraid. In addition, Wu Xianrou was someone who valued love above all else. She didn't have to worry about food or clothing. Love was everything. Second brother also sighed. As the second in command of the team, this was the last thing he wanted to see. Old Four's sacrifice made everyone's hearts tremble. Even if the snipers and special forces soldiers saw their comrades die, they would still feel bad, let alone their comrades. After drinking a bowl of hot soup and sweating all over, he felt very comfortable. He said, when the car reaches the mountain, there will be a way. Everyone has a time when they have a mental barrier. Boss is now a mental barrier. When the mental barrier is gone, everything will be fine. Being possessed meant having a pile of shit stuffed in his mouth, yet he could still chew it carelessly. In the end, The higher-ups didn't track down the terrorists because they were too scattered. Moreover, the thunderous attack this time had caused this organization to be in a mess. If he really pushed them too far, it was hard to guarantee that these people wouldn't act out of desperation. Everyone boarded the helicopter to return home. Song Yi's expression was very serious, with a murderous look. After returning home, the first thing he did was to find Wu Xinrou's father and say that he wasn't suitable for Wu Xinrou. He was a precarious person and couldn't take care of Wu Xinrou wholeheartedly. He couldn't satisfy Wu Xinrou's needs. Therefore, in order not to delay Wu Xinrou, he decided to break up with her. Wu Jing naturally couldn't bear to part with his son-in-law. He advised Song Yi that he would go back and teach his daughter a lesson so that Song Yi wouldn't break up so easily. Song Yi pursed his lips tightly and didn't speak. He felt really uncomfortable. He felt like his heart was about to be torn into pieces. No one could satisfy him. Wu Zheng was fine, but Wu Xinrou didn't accept the breakup. In the heavy rain, she ran downstairs to the dormitory and questioned Song Yi on what basis he should break up with her. You broke up with her just like that? You even said that you would dote on her for the rest of your life. Break up with her now. Ning Shu looked at Wu Xinrou, who was drenched like a drowned rat upstairs. He clicked his tongue. How romantic. Tearing her heart out in the rain. Wasn't the weather suitable for such words? The reason why Song Yi broke up with her was actually to show his attitude to his teammates. It wasn't that Song Yi didn't feel that people's hearts were scattered. This kind of torment was just a psychological retreat in order to advance. His teammates couldn't stand it anymore and asked Song Yi to be with Wu Xinrou. Otherwise, their whole team would become a hindrance to someone's true love. It was raining heavily. The raindrops splashed on the ground, creating a mist. Wu Xinrou had been calling Song Yi's name heartbreakingly downstairs, which attracted a large group of onlookers. They were all hooting. Song Yi came out and went downstairs with an umbrella. He walked to Wu Xinrou's side. Anyway, the two of them were pulling each other. Anyway, Wu Xinrou was very emotional. She turned around and ran away. Ning Shu felt that Wu Xinrou should enjoy the heartbreak brought about by love. Come look. Anyway, there's a lot of foolishness. Song Yi rubbed his eyebrows. Under the gaze of so many people, it was not good to pursue her, but it was also not good to not pursue her. He was in a dilemma. There were constant whistles all around. This kind of scene that only happened in idol dramas was so embarrassing. Come on, pretend. Anyway, there's a lot of time. Well, Song Yi actually didn't pursue her. You might lose your lovely wife. Wu Xinrou ran against the wind like a drowned rat. The big raindrops hit her face, and her head hurt a little. Wu Xinrou was tired from running. When she stopped, she realized that she was the only one. Song Yi didn't pursue her at all. Damn, Wu Xinrou suddenly exploded. He was a scumbag, a pure scumbag. They were done for. A luxury car appeared in front of Wu Xinrou, splashing water all over her. Wu Xinrou suddenly felt wronged. Why was she so unlucky today? Hey, beauty, what are you doing on the side of the road? The car window rolled down, and a man's face appeared. What does it have to do with you? Wu Xinrou walked away. The car continued to drive beside her at a leisurely pace. Can you not follow me? Wu Xinrou was annoyed. Your clothes are wet from the rain, and your underwear is showing. Do you want me to take you to change your clothes? Wu Xinrou looked down and immediately covered her chest. What are you looking at, you pervert? I'm a person who has tender feelings for women. Come on, I'll take you to change your clothes. The man smiled at Wu Xinrou. I promise I won't do anything to you. Wu Xinrou got into the car suspiciously. After all, it was very cold in the rain, and Wu Xinrou was a little angry now. So, she got into the man's car. The man rubbed his lips with his fingers and looked at Wu Xinrou. She was a natural beauty. The man stepped on the accelerator, and the car disappeared in the rain. When Song Yi ran over in a hurry, he couldn't find Wu Xinrou at all. Song Yi was anxious and went to Wu Xinrou's house to look for her. But Wu Xinrou didn't go home. Song Yi rushed back to the dormitory and knocked on little Jio's door. Chapter 1748. Help me find out where Wu Xianrou is now. Song Yi took off Little Nine's headphones. What now? Little Nine was a little unhappy that the game was interrupted. This is Wu Xianrou's phone number. Help me hack into the communication network and find out where she is, Song Yi said anxiously. He couldn't get through. Wu Xianrou was a girl in this kind of weather. It was easy for something to happen to her. Song Yi rubbed his eyebrows. There were red fingerprints between his eyebrows. Many people gathered in Little Nine's room. The whole team came over. Song Yi didn't change his wet clothes. His pants were dripping with water. Little Nine's face was cold. His fingers quickly tapped on the keyboard. Ning Shu looked at the exhausted Song Yi and was speechless. The current Song Yi didn't have a flash marriage with Song Yi like in the plot. The balance was directly on Wu Xianrou's side. But now, the two were boyfriend and girlfriend. They weren't married. Song Yi didn't have that much responsibility for Wu Xianrou. Song Yi was now swinging back and forth between his subordinate and Wu Xianrou. The buffer time was enough for Song Yi to think about his future with Wu Xianrou. Ning Shu suddenly understood an evil mother-in-law's skill. If there was a chance to become an evil mother-in-law, she didn't need to use tricks to separate them. Instead, she could unite them. She would agree to her son and daughter-in-law dating, but the premise was that they couldn't get married within 2 years. When she was free, she could sponsor them to go on a trip. After the trip, there would be 5 out of 10 couples. She would complain about her boyfriend and girlfriend after the trip. She would divide a couple from the inside. Ning Shu's inner villain laughed wildly with his hands on his hips. But on the surface, he was still calm. He said to Song Yi, Miss Wu should have gone somewhere to take shelter from the rain. It's raining so heavily. She can't keep running on the streets. Just thinking about it made Ning Shu want to burst out laughing. Song Yi kept holding his phone. Water dripped from his hair onto the phone screen. Song Yi kept wiping it with his hands. Ning Shu took out a piece of paper and gave it to him. Song Yi didn't take it and started to make a call. Ning Shu silently took the paper to wipe his nose. But the phone still couldn't get through. Song Yi asked Little Nine, Did you find it? Wait a minute. It's a little difficult to use the SIM card to locate the location, Little Nine said. It was not a simple matter to mobilize the communication satellites. Furthermore, it was illegal to hack into such a system. It would be terrible if they were discovered. So Little Nine was taking the risk to do things for Song Yi, but Song Yi kept urging him, which made Little Nine feel very uncomfortable. Finally, he said, At the Xinhuang Hotel. Song Yi rushed out of the room and went to the restaurant. Second brother patted Little Nine's back. Boss is too anxious. Little Nine curled her lips, put on her headphones, and continued playing the game. Why don't we go and take a look? Ning Shu suggested. Yes, we are the leader soldiers. Let's go. The others also agreed. If anything happened, they could also help. Ning Shu went back to the house to get a raincoat and put it on. The group of people ran towards the hotel. Fortunately, the location was not too far away. For the special forces, it was still manageable. When they arrived at the hotel, Song Yi was talking to the front desk. Ning Shu walked over and asked, Did you ask where Miss Wu's room is? Sorry, we've already checked. Miss Wu didn't get a room here at all. There's no record of her staying here. The front desk helplessly explained. Song Yi said anxiously, She's clearly in this hotel. It was already not easy for Little Nine to locate her at the hotel. If Little Nine had his own satellite, it would be no problem for him to locate anyone. But there were no ifs. Ning Shu asked the front desk, Do you remember that someone brought a girl who was completely wet? She was about 1.67, had snow-white skin, and long hair to get a room? If Wu Xianrou didn't use her ID to get a room, then she was brought here by someone else. Song Yi was really confused. The front desk thought for a moment and said, There was such a person. President Su brought him here. Then what about the room number? We're from the military. That girl is our superior's daughter. Second brother took out his wallet, which contained his special forces ID. The front desk was a little surprised. He asked the hotel manager, took the key, and led the group to the room. They were staying in the presidential suite. The front desk knocked on the door a few times. Just as he was about to take the key, the door opened. The person who opened the door was a man in a bathrobe. He had an evil face and gave people a very dangerous feeling. But even though they knew it was dangerous, they couldn't help but be attracted. The man raised his eyebrows slightly. "Who are you looking for?" This man was like a poppy, attracting women to him like moths to a flame. Ning Shu blinked. Such a strong standard, staying in the presidential suite, and hearing from the front desk that he was a president. Could he be a passerby? Maybe he was a new candidate for the male lead. After all, Song Yi and Wu Xianro weren't married. It could be anyone. Song Yi almost exploded in anger. A man in a bathrobe looked like he had just taken a shower. Wu Xianro came to the hotel with a man. Song Yi pushed President Su aside and entered the room. He shouted, "Wu Xianro, are you inside?" Ning Shu and the others also entered the room. The water dripped on the carpet. Wu Xianro heard Song Yi's voice and was a little worried. She quickly put on the bathrobe, tied it up, and walked out of the bathroom. When Wu Xianro came out like this, the air suddenly became quiet. The most frightening thing was that the air suddenly became quiet. Everyone's eyes swept back and forth between the man and woman in the bathrobe. This kind of situation was too easy to misunderstand. Song Yi's expression didn't change. "It's time to go back. Your father should be worried." Everyone sighed. "Boss, you have a good temper." Song Yi didn't want to cause any trouble. Firstly, it was because of their identities. Secondly, it was because of Wu Xianro's father. After all, their identities were more sensitive. If there was anything, they could talk about it in private. Even if Song Yi's heart was surging with jealousy and anger, he still held it in. Wu Xianro felt guilty and was eager to explain, but when she saw Song Yi like this, who didn't seem to care at all, she suddenly exploded. She hugged the arm of the man next to her. "I want to break up with you. This is my new boyfriend." As a domineering officer, at this time, he should have dragged Wu Xianro home and spanked her. However, Song Yi endured it. Then he asked, "Is what you said true? When did this start?" Ning Shu, Wu Xianro puffed out her chest and raised her chin. "Just now. We're already boyfriend and girlfriend." Everyone looked at Song Yi in unison. Song Yi's expression was really changing. It was like a color palette. All kinds of colors flashed across his face like neon lights. Chapter 1749. Ning Shu and the others looked at Song Yi sympathetically. It seemed that Song Yi had been dumped. He had been cheated on and the other party was a domineering CEO. Ning Shu blinked. Had Song Yi been kicked out of the position of the male lead? There was no flash marriage at the beginning. There had been some changes. Song Yi calmed down. "Don't mess around. Your father is still waiting for you at home. Change your clothes and come back with us." "I'm already an adult. What does it matter if I'm with my boyfriend? Go back and tell my father that I'm not going back tonight." Wu Xianro hugged Xiao Su's arm and deliberately provoked Song Yi. She wanted Song Yi to be jealous, to make Song Yi go crazy, to prove that Song Yi loved her. Wu Xianro's love stopped at the superficial level. The veins on Song Yi's forehead throbbed, but he still endured it. The patience of a Special Forces soldier was perfectly reflected at this moment. Wu Xianro saw that Song Yi was still indifferent and immediately exploded. "Song Yi, go with. I have something to say to my boyfriend." Ning Shu frowned. This girl was really the most willful person Ning Shu had ever seen. Why would such a willful person be protected and loved like this? She should be the illegitimate daughter of the goddess of luck. Ning Shu said, "Miss Wu, that's enough. Don't provoke people like this." Ning Shu looked at the domineering Seo and said, "We're the special forces of the country. If we insist on taking you away, you can't beat us. You kidnapped our boss's daughter." So Su spread his hands. "So what if you're from the special forces? You're still supported by the taxpayers. I'm a big taxpayer. Are you sure you want to do this? Is it really okay to abuse your power like this?" So Su winked at Ning Shu with a hint of teasing. Ning Shu was speechless. This person had such a good appetite. He even wanted to seduce her. Wasn't he afraid of being dislocated? Ning Shu said, "This is my business. Don't involve you. This is my personal behavior. It has nothing to do with the country." "Oh," Ning Shu replied, then took a step back and didn't say anything. President Su winked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu rolled his eyes to the back of his head. This CEO must be a playboy. Sleeping with women was like collecting stamps. If you're not looking at the beauty beside you, why are you staring at me? Ning Shu politely declined this kind of evil and wild creature. Song Yi looked at Wu Xianro. "Are you coming back with me?" Wu Xianro raised her chin and said, "Let's go." Song Yi turned and left. Song Yi walked out of the presidential suite in a raincoat. Not only was Wu Xianro dumbfounded, but even Ning Shu and the others were dumbfounded. Should they leave or not? Ning Shu decisively left. Seeing this, the other team members also left. Wu Xianro was speechless. President Su shrugged at Wu Xianro. "What should we do now?" Wu Xianro was so angry that she bit her lips and pulled on President Su's collar. "Now that we are boyfriend and girlfriend, let's do what boyfriend and girlfriend should do." President Su pulled Wu Xianro's hand away from his bathrobe and asked, "Are you a female soldier?" Wu Xianro was a little confused. "What do you mean?" "I haven't slept with a female soldier," President Su said. "Shameless, disgusting. How can you sleep with someone like Wu Jing? You're so disgusting." Wu Xianro was furious. President Su spread his hands and said, "It's like eating vegetables. Although it doesn't look good, it doesn't necessarily taste bad." "Disgusting bitch." Wu Xianro was really furious. "Don't be angry." President Su lifted Wu Xianro's chin and narrowed his eyes slightly. He looked very seductive. Wu Xianro looked at his face in a daze. She felt the pheromones in her face and her heartbeat couldn't help but beat. Her whole body trembled as if she had been electrocuted. This was a feeling she didn't have when she was with Song Yi. It was dangerous but fascinating. Wu Xianro's throat trembled. She swallowed a mouthful of saliva and heard her heart beating like a drum. It seemed to be the feeling and taste of love. Wu Xianro closed her eyes tightly. President Su smiled faintly and kissed Wu Xianro's soft lips. It would be a waste if he didn't take it. Ning Shu and the others caught up with Song Yi, who was running wildly. "Boss, let's go back and take a look." "Yes, that gigolo doesn't look like a good person." "If Miss Wu is taken advantage of, how are you going to explain it to Mr. Wu?" Everyone tried to persuade Song Yi not to lose the big picture for the small. The rain was still falling and the raincoat made patter sounds. Song Yi shook his head and said, "If that's the case, then forget it. I'm just a Special Forces soldier whose life is in danger. I don't have that much time to accompany her." Ning Shu didn't say a word. He couldn't make a conclusion until the last moment. They were a good match. If they broke up so easily, how could it be true love? Love was stronger than gold. Ning Shu wouldn't care about Song Yi anymore. Song Yi could do whatever he wanted. He had done what he should do. "It's raining heavily. Let's go back." Ning Shu took the lead and left. The others were also annoyed. It was very tiring on such a rainy day. They all went back. Ning Shu took a shower and put on dry clothes. He felt a little more comfortable and made some ginger soup. Recently, there was a deputy cadre position. Ning Shu planned to fight for it. He just didn't know if he would be rejected because he was a woman. There were many people eyeing this position. Ning Shu turned on the computer and submitted the application. He still had to fight for what he should fight for. The client had done many missions and had a rich resume. It wasn't easy to be a female Special Forces soldier. The client wanted to be Song Yi's subordinate forever and missed many opportunities. In the end, the client didn't get anything. Song Yi didn't lead them to move forward in the belief. The client was just an ordinary Special Forces soldier until his death. He couldn't even give a little more compensation to his family. After the application was completed and submitted, Ning Shu stretched and opened the drawer. There were some medals inside. After every mission, he would either give a little bonus or a medal. He wanted the horse to eat grass, especially when it was a job that involved life and death. He should be able to go up another level. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the small bed and began to use his meager spirit energy to heal the internal injuries in his body. Otherwise, these hidden injuries would be really fucking painful when he was old. This was risking his life for work. The next day, Song Yi called the whole team over and distributed the bonus to everyone. Song Yi didn't take a single cent and gave his share to Zhu Yi's family. Ning Shu took out a stack of money from his envelope and put it on the table. This is for Zhu Yi. At that time, Zhu Yi had weighed the situation. He couldn't escape, so he gave her the hope of survival. The others also took out a stack of money and put it on the table. Chapter 1750. I remember that Zhu Yi has a younger brother. He's studying in university now, second brother said. Zhu Yi joined the army because his family was a little poor. He could get subsidies for joining the army. He had a younger brother and sister. Zhu Yi was under a lot of pressure too. They're the families of martyrs. The local government will definitely give them preferential treatment. Song Yi wiped his face. I might be removed. I'm not happy with Wu Zhengwei because of Wu Xianrou. That shouldn't be. Boss, we've completed so many important missions that we can't even count them with our fingers. They shouldn't remove you because of this. Are your medals and ours fake? Everyone was discussing. Xiaojiu said directly, you can just explain it to the Wu family. The Wu family can't cover the sky with one hand. Even if they want to remove you, they have to come up with a reason. Ning Shu said, if Wu Jingwei really wants to make an issue out of your relationship, he shouldn't be so stupid. This kind of relationship problem was a big deal to a little girl. But to people who lived in this kind of place, it was just a small matter. It didn't hurt at all. If Wu Zhengwei really did that, he would be a retard. If they wanted to catch him, it would be political. Anyway, I have to be prepared in advance. I've offended him this time. Song Yi let out a long breath. It was as if a heavy stone had been removed from his body. He felt as if he could stand up straight again. Ning Shu just said, Wu Xianrou is really willful. Why did she go on such a dangerous mission? And why didn't Wu Jingwei stop his daughter? Doesn't he know the seriousness of the matter? Song Yi's eyes flashed and he nodded. Yeah. Song Yi and his team members were talking in the office. Someone opened the door and told Song Yi that someone was looking for him. Song Yi walked out of the office and saw Wu Xianrou. Her white dress was swaying slightly. Wu Xianrou had her hands behind her back. When she turned her head, it was a beautiful scene. Song Yi saw Wu Xianrou like this. She had something that he yearned for. She was pure and beautiful. There was no smell of blood on her. She was pure and cared for. Song Yi walked over and asked, What's the matter? I'm here to break up with you. We're not suitable for each other, Wu Xianrou said, her face slightly red. Song Yi said calmly, Didn't they break up last night? I'm here to officially break up with you today. I know I'm willful and I've let you down, but we can't be together anymore. Why? Don't ask why. Anyway, I'm sorry. You can find your happiness, Wu Xianrou said with her head lowered. Ning Shu strained his ears, trying to hear what they were talking about. To be honest, this was the first time that Ning Shu had seen Wu Xianrou speak so gently to Song Yi. She didn't expect him to be the most gentle when they were breaking up. This official partner actually wants to break up. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Did something happen? Ning Shu thought about it and released his spiritual power to check Wu Xianrou's body. Under the effect of her mental strength, Ning Shu could clearly see any abnormalities in Wu Xianrou. There were marks on Wu Xianrou's tender skin. There were bright red strawberry marks and some bruises. Ning Shu was surprised. Did Wu Xianrou really have sex with that playboy? She's really open-minded. He's a playboy. However, Wu Xianrou should be able to make the playboy repent. Then, people would be addicted to her and wouldn't look at other women anymore. Some people were just different. Ning Shu could imagine Wu Xianrou and the playboy being together. She fought with the playboy's bed partners every day. Therefore, after confirming that Song Yi didn't love Wu Xianrou wholeheartedly, another person appeared. This person could love Wu Xianrou. The taste of love. Ning Shu's mouth twitched. Wu Xinro was really favored by the heavens. Song Yi could only end up being dumped, and he had to be crowned with the title of a scumbag. Ning Shu almost couldn't help but applaud. It was too fucking awesome. Ning Shu was dissatisfied with Song Yi, but because he was his boss, some things weren't easy to say. However, it didn't mean that he didn't hate Song Yi. Song Yi calmed down and said, "Wu Xinro, I'll listen to you. Let's break up." Wu Xinro was unhappy again. If the other party kept pestering her, she would definitely be impatient. However, if the other party agreed so straightforwardly, Wu Xinro would feel that Song Yi didn't love her at all. He didn't even try to persuade her to stay. Humans were so contradictory. "Then I wish you happiness." Wu Xinro turned and left. "Wait a minute." Song Yi stopped Wu Xinro. She turned her head and asked, "What's the matter?" "Please tell your father that you broke up with him because you have a boyfriend." Wu Xinro's face suddenly turned ugly. "You mean that I cheated on you first?" "Song Yi, when I was with you, I never felt like your girlfriend. You didn't accompany me on my birthday and didn't even give me a bouquet of flowers. I went to find you regardless of the danger, but you said that I was willful and ignorant." Wu Xinro's face was covered in tears. Her voice was full of complaints. Song Yi rubbed the space between his eyebrows. "I'm not worthy of you." Wu Xinro turned and left. Her back view looked strong and made people's heart ache. Ning Shu hadn't seen this type of female lead in a long time. This Wu Xinro looked like she dared to love and hate. She got rid of her scumbag ex, met the right person, and obtained happiness. In fact, she was a self-centered and love-oriented person. She wanted the kind of love that moved the heavens and the earth. Ning Shu chuckled. This incident was still a blow to Song Yi. Ning Shu went online and could always see gossip about the playboy President Su. It was said that he had a new female companion, and the female companion was Wu Xinro. Wu Xinro was wearing a beautiful gown and holding President Su's arm. It seemed that President Su would definitely be able to give Wu Xinro an unforgettable love. However, it wasn't that easy for Wu Xinro to conquer a man who had been with countless women. She would definitely be tortured for a while. Ning Shu couldn't be bothered with Wu Xinro's matters. Wu Xinro's mind was occupied by the love bug. It seemed that she couldn't live without love. When he had nothing to do, Ning Shu would go and do small tasks. He didn't do those dangerous international missions. However, it was better than nothing. Moreover, he had to go on missions with other teams. Song Yi was hurt by love and couldn't get over it for a while. The soldiers under him were either idle or doing missions with others. During this time, something else happened. Wu Xinro's father was warned. In the end, he was implicated by his daughter, Wu Xinro. She appeared in so many scenes every day. President Su and her were sweet and sweet. He brought her everywhere he went. Chapter 1751. Whether it was out of jealousy or other reasons. As President Su's female companion, her background would definitely be pulled out. National institutions were very serious places that represented the image of the country. When Wu Xinro was mentioned, the first thing people thought of was the military force behind her. The higher-ups didn't want to be mentioned every day. These people risked their lives and didn't want to be mentioned by gossip magazines every day. Wu Xinro didn't represent the country's military. Those who didn't know would think that the daughters of high-ranking officials were all such people. Wu Jingwei had a headache. He knew that his daughter was stubborn, so he found Song Yi, who was most suitable for her and could tolerate her. But something still happened. Wu Jingwei told his daughter not to interact with President Su, who was a businessman. Besides, a businessman wasn't good enough for Wu Xinro. Wu Xinro immediately cried and made a fuss, saying that she and President Su were truly in love. "Dad, you're just a stubborn old man." Wu Jingwei was so angry that he almost had a heart attack. Wu Xinro was the kind of person who didn't care about worldly affairs. Love was everything. The more he objected, the more she wanted to be with President Su. President Su was a businessman. After being warned, he wanted to draw a clear line with Wu Xinro. But Wu Xinro didn't. She had given her body to President Su, And she had also fallen in love with him. She couldn't leave him. In short, this sadistic love affair was so deep that it could make one's heart twitch in pain. From a spoiled marriage to a sadistic relationship, this change was a little big. It was as fast as a tornado. Wu Xinruo was walking on the path of a scam. Her father repeatedly told her not to be with President Su, and he was a playboy. How could he compare to Song Yi, who had a bright future? Scholars, farmers, businessmen, how could they compare to people in politics and the army? Wu Jingwei felt that his daughter's head was filled with grass. In addition, someone spread the news that Wu Jingwei's daughter chased after her husband. Song Yi was on a dangerous mission, and she ran over. She ran over recklessly and was hijacked. Then, she was rescued and entangled with a playboy in the business world. At least in the military compound, Song Yi was a soldier who risked his life for the country. He had meritorious deeds on his chest. At least the public opinion was biased towards Song Yi. Song Yi also received pity from many soldiers. Under such circumstances, even Wu Zheng was transferred out of the military compound to work in other departments. On one hand, there was something wrong with Wu Zhengwei. On the other hand, it was normal for everyone to kick a man who is down. After all, the military compound was such a serious place. How could it appear in a magazine? How could a reporter who knew how to hold a pen be able to spout nonsense? She even said that the entire military force was Wu Xinruo's backer. How could she be so shameless? Ning Shu smiled at this. Some people wouldn't turn back unless they hit the wall. Even if they hit the wall, they would break the wall and continue walking, all for the sake of the incomparably great love in their hearts. The strong obsession in his heart was just to be together, to be together. Ning Shu's application to be a deputy cadre was approved, and his salary was also increased. This made Ning Shu very happy. There were also a few other men who were appointed at the same time. Old second brother was one of them, and when he received the appointment letter, the two of them met and smiled. "Congratulations," said the second brother, Ning Shu. Ning Shu was also very happy. "I thought I would definitely not pass because I was a woman. This place looks at ability, not gender. Also, your resume is there," said the second brother. Ning Shu nodded and asked, "I've been on missions recently. How's the boss?" "You still don't know. The boss is in confinement. He will be out after a while. Confinement is just a formality. When the boss comes out, he will definitely be promoted," said the second brother. Ning Shu really didn't care much about this matter. Even if Song Yi was no longer Wu Xianruo's official partner, the conditions were there. Ning Shu nodded. As long as Song Yi didn't marry Wu Xianruo, her mission would be considered completed. Beautiful things were easily broken. Relationships had to be carefully managed and maintained. They didn't have to feel love through strong feelings, which would eventually turn into a trickle of water. A trickle of water could go on for a long time. It was like a flood that would be weak and tired. Ning Shu returned to his room and turned on his computer to look at the gossip news. The gossip magazines were saying that President Su had changed female partners again. They said that he changed female partners like he changed clothes. It was already like this, but Wu Xianruo was still by President Su's side. Ning Shu believed that President Su would definitely be moved by Wu Xianruo. After all, Wu Xianruo had the halo of true love. She would definitely obtain true love. Even if he was a playboy, he would eventually become a loyal person. From then on, he would stay by her side and wouldn't be interested in other women. He would have no feelings for them. If it was even more exaggerated, he might not have any physiological reaction to other women. Ning Shu felt that Wu Xianruo was poisonous. Ning Shu met Song Yi in the cafeteria. Song Yi had just come out of confinement. He felt that Song Yi had lost a lot of weight after not seeing him for a while. Song Yi saw Ning Shu and came over with a tray. He sat opposite Ning Shu and opened his chopsticks. Ning Shu said, "I heard from second brother that you've passed the application for deputy cadre. Congratulations." Ning Shu smiled. This was something to be happy about. "Thank you. It's good to see you guys like this. Everyone is moving up. That's good." Song Yi nodded with a gratified look on his face. We'll be recruiting some female special forces soldiers this year. You might go over to train the new recruits, Song-yi said as he ate. Soldiers couldn't eat as elegantly and slowly as they ate in a Western restaurant. Song ate very quickly. Ning Shu nodded. It seems that I'm a cadre at the right time. You're lucky and you're capable. Besides, you're a soldier under me. You can't be bad. Ning Shu smiled. Don't underestimate yourself. Ning Shu was speechless. I'm not underestimating myself. Ning Shu looked at Song-yi. You've come out? It's inevitable to be sad. But between Wu Xianrou and I, we're not fated. Ning Shu peeled the rice and comforted him politely. You'll meet the right person. We'll see. Song-yi didn't want to talk about this. Ning Shu looked at Song-yi. He suspected that Wu Jingwei's transfer out of the department had something to do with Song-yi. It was very awkward to stay in the same military compound. Also, Wu Jingwei was his superior. If he really wanted to make things difficult for him, it would be very easy. Most of the rumors in the military compound came from Shi Yi's side. Since he had already offended him, he might as well offend him completely and get rid of him. Of course, this was also borrowing the east wind. It was borrowing the east wind. If it wasn't for Wu Xianrou, the fire wouldn't have spread to Wu Jingwei. Therefore, Ning Shu had reason to suspect Song-yi, although she had added fuel to the fire. Chapter 1752. For example, Wu Xianrou's background was the entire military. She was the one who spread the news. Don't forget that Song-yi was an iron-blooded soldier who didn't hesitate to kill people. Once he wasn't possessed, his mind was still clear. If he wasn't clear-headed, he would be destroyed on the battlefield. No one was spared from Mary Sue's halo. Women were jealous and men loved. It was really scary. Ning Shu glanced at Song-yi from time to time. Song-yi asked, "What's wrong?" "I just didn't expect you to get over it so quickly." Ning Shu suspected that Song-yi was enduring the humiliation and waiting until he was strong enough to snatch Wu Xianrou back. Then it would be captivity play. Even if I can't get your heart, I still want your body. In short, all kinds of hardcore tastes. Ning Shu quickly shook his head. Sometimes he really couldn't control his imagination. What can I do if I can't get over it? Wu Xianrou is already in a relationship with that man. I haven't even kissed her, and Wu Xianrou and he have already hit the home run. Song-yi said lightly. Ning Shu, is it appropriate to say this to me? Even so, Ning Shu still mocked him in his heart. The cabbage that he loved was eaten by a pig. One could imagine how he felt. However, Ning Shu's expression was very sympathetic. Song-yi finished his meal and left with his tray. Ning Shu grinned. In fact, this scene was quite sad. It was impossible for Wu Jing and Song-yi to be together. Song-yi knew that Wu Jing liked him, but he rejected her openly and secretly. There were still many things that could be done without love. As expected, Ning Shu was sent to train the new soldiers and teach them. They still hadn't found the origin of this world. Ning Shu had been paying attention to Wu Xianrou's affairs. Well, it seemed that Wu Xianrou was going to marry President Su. As for the reason, it was because Wu Xianrou was pregnant. The plot had changed beyond recognition. TSK, the wind today was very noisy. Wu Xianrou's father was an official. It was relatively easy for President Su to marry his daughter. Then the grand wedding began. Ning Shu watched the video of the wedding. Of course, there were waves of ex-girlfriends who came to cause trouble. In short, it was a mess. Ning Shu looked at Wu Xianrou, who was touching her belly with a blissful expression. Perhaps this was the love and happiness that Wu Xianrou wanted. Ning Shu only wanted to facepalm and say, "This is really bad luck." He just didn't know if Wu Xianrou would come back to find Song-yi in the future. Song-yi instantly became the second male lead. Song-yi could be considered a blessing in disguise. After being confined, he was promoted by one rank, but he was transferred to another army. Their team could be considered to be disbanded. If the people's hearts were scattered, then they were scattered. In the end, everything had changed. Ning Shu smiled. That was more like it. After returning to reality, all that was left was ashes of exhaustion. Wu Xianrou seemed to be a happy wife of a wealthy family. She liked to take selfies of her big belly and post them on Weibo to show off. She liked to show off in everything she did. She always posted some happy Weibo. Ning Shu's teeth almost fell out when she saw this. How empty must he be to frequently search for a sense of existence in the virtual network? Whatever she lacked, she desperately wanted to show it. Could it be that Wu Xianrou and President Su were not happy married? Ning Shu flipped through the gossip magazine. Although President Su had restrained himself after getting married, there were still occasional scandals. Wu Xianrou, who was pregnant, must have felt terrible when she saw these scandals. With Wu Xianrou's character, she would definitely go back and question her husband. She would run with her big belly to catch them in the act and question them. I love you so much, so why don't you love me? She was simply a resentful woman. After a while, wouldn't she cause trouble? Character determined fate. He didn't know if President Su would be like Song Yi and dote on Wu Xianrou unconditionally. Ning Shu felt that President Su was a businessman. Everything he did was about the return on investment. Businessmen valued profits. It would be difficult for him to be like Song Yi and Wu Xianrou. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Wu Xianrou hadn't conquered President Su yet? Logically speaking, it should have been Mr. Lang who became his wife's slave after getting married. Ning Shu turned off the computer. Whether Wu Xianrou was happy or not had nothing to do with him. However, seeing that she wasn't living a good life, Ning Shu still felt comfortable in his heart. All living things were suffering. Why could she get what she wanted without paying anything? The breakup of love could make Wu Xianrou live a life worse than death. She would fall into self-pity and self-blame. Why did the heavens treat her like this? She loved so bitterly. Without love, there was no need to exist. It seemed that Wu Xianrou and President Su's marriage wasn't very happy now. Wu Xianrou was arrogant and needed someone to coax her. However, President Su was a man who had a woman with just a hook. Did he really have the patience to coax Wu Xianrou? Mission completed. Do you want to leave the mission world? 2333's voice sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu woke up and thought about this mission. There shouldn't be anything left behind. The only regret was that he didn't find the origin of the world. He was speechless. Ning Shu said, "Let's go back." After being stunned, Ning Shu opened his eyes. He was already in the system space. Ning Shu lay on the sofa and opened his status panel to look at his harvest. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27 level, Super Mission Taker Points card, 131, 10 million points for 1 point card. Soul value, 4 health points, 3 wisdom, 6 luck, 6 charm, 1 spiritual power, 4 martial strength, 5 aptitude, 3 faith, 900 merit, 315 soul strength, 25 authorization ticket, none law comprehended, water rule pure heart, none items, calm halo calming pill, faith halo, amulet 4, upgraded amulet plus 2 honorary titles, goddess of war, selfless ancestor skills, 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, intermediate martial arts, intermediate poison technique, beginner business management. Knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, sage ghost catching skill, beginner cooking skill, intermediate embroidery skill. Auras, mother of the world, queen's blessing, sister model worker, Qinshi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, best friend of a lifetime, Miao Miao Miao's blessing. Healer of the dying, Zhu Su Nyang's blessing, founding woman, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty of the law, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, communication between races, Bai Sanyang's blessing, heart of the brave, Wang Ying's blessing. Completed Wu Jing's wish. She hoped that Song Yi wouldn't marry Wu Xianrou. She didn't want her brotherly and respected man to become like this. She also hoped that she could climb up and didn't want to be Song Yi's subordinate anymore. Mission completion rate, 100%. Mission reward, 6 points card, 7 attribute points, 60% soul strength, 4,000 faith, including previous world's accumulation. 5 merit points deducted. Chapter 1753. Although the harvest was not plentiful, Ning Shu was still very gratified because of this. Because this world did not have any mission enforcers chasing after her, her 2,000 merit points were not spent in vain. The missions in this world were not easy to do. If a mission enforcer targeting her appeared, the difficulty of the mission would double. Ning Shu did not know what background Hong Yu had. He was afraid that Hong Yu did not have to do it personally, and someone would do it for her. Her current strength was a little weak and needed to be dormant. No matter how dangerous it was, she had to maintain a smile. Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief and added the attribute points. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27 level, Super Mission Enforcer Points card, 131 plus 6, 10 million points per card. Soul, 4 plus 1 life, 3 plus 1 wisdom, 6 plus 1 luck, 6 plus 1 charm, 1 plus 1 mental power, 4 plus 1 martial power, 5 plus 1 aptitude, 3 faith, 9,900 plus 4,000 merit, 4315-5 soul strength, 25 plus 5 authority ticket, none law comprehended, water rule pure heart, none items, calm aura, calming pill, faith aura, amulet 4, upgraded amulet plus 2 honorary title, goddess of war, selfless ancestor skills. 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, intermediate martial arts, intermediate poison technique, beginner business. Management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, sage ghost catching skill, beginner cooking skill, intermediate embroidery skill. Aura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, sister model worker, Qinshi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, best friend for life, Miao Miao Miao's blessing. Healer of the dying, Zhu Su Nyang's blessing, founding woman, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty of the law, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, communication between races, Bai San Yang's blessing, heart of the brave, Wang Ying's blessing. Ning Shu sat down and began to absorb the pure soul power. 60% of the soul power was not a small amount. After Ning Shu finished absorbing, he looked at his soul. He still felt stifled. Why was his soul still so weak? There was no change. Until now, it was not as strong as before. He still hadn't recovered the soul power he had lost when he became a divine beast. However, the lost soul power allowed her to enter the law space and become the law incarnation. Therefore, everything that was lost would return in another way. There were gains and losses. Ning Shu calmed his heart, and his soul could slowly grow stronger. After returning from a quest, he wondered how the chat group was doing. Were they still condemning her? Ning Shu opened the chat system. It seemed like no one was talking. Usually this group was quiet, like a dead group. It was scary. Ning Shu scrolled through the chat history. It seems like these people aren't talking about the topic of hashtag water law incarnation, tyrannical expulsion law incarnation hashtag anymore. Previously, the crowd was still so turbulent, but now, the matter had passed. He probably felt bored seeing that the person involved hadn't come out yet. If Ning Shu and Hong Yu were to appear in the group and spit at each other in the group, it would be very lively. There was no need for two of them. If one of them was stirring up trouble in the chat group, it would be enough to excite the spectators. Ning Shu closed the chat group and looked at the messages sent to her by the others. Mei Ziqing sent him a message, saying that she was going to do a quest. If possible, help her take care of Xiaohua. She sent Xiaohua to the city lord residence of Water City. Ning Shu was speechless. This scammer. Ning Shu asked Mei Ziqing's system, "Why do you want me to take care of the man Mei Ziqing found?" Mei Ziqing's system replied, "Mei Ziqing can't bear to lock him in the quiet system space." Ning Shu was speechless. Mei Ziqing returned from a quest, placed Xiaohua in the city lord residence of Water City, and went to do another quest. Since it was Mei Ziqing's request, Ning Shu naturally had to go and take a look. Moreover, Xiaohua was a human formed by the world's origin under the nourishment of heaven and earth spirit qi. It wasn't easy. Ning Shu closed the chat system and prepared to go and take a look at Xiaohua. After all, Xiaohua was the world's origin. Mei Ziqing had spent all her wealth to buy him. He was still very eye-catching. What if he was kidnapped? Go to Water City, Ning Shu said. 2333 said, "It's time to collect taxes. You can go and collect taxes." Ning Shu's heart exploded with fireworks. She could finally get out of poverty. For Ning Shu, getting out of poverty was much more important than getting out of singlehood. She had too many things to do. And these things required money. Ning Shu's head was dizzy. She stood in Water City as if she was carsick. Ning Shu shook her head. Her soul power was too weak. Every time she was teleported, her soul felt like it was being needed. She felt terrible. Ning Shu went to her City Lord residence. Floating in the air above the City Lord residence, she saw a red-haired man sitting in the garden in a daze. The garden was full of colorful flowers. His long red hair was scattered on the ground. It was as beautiful as a painting. He was motionless like a painting. Ning Shu leaped into the air and arrived in front of him. Xiaohua raised his head and looked at Ning Shu. At first, he was wary, but he felt that the person in front of him looked familiar, so he didn't attack. Ning Shu asked, "What are you doing here?" "Ziqing told me to stay here," Xiaohua said. Fortunately, he could speak. "So you've been here all this time?" Ning Shu looked at him. Xiaohua nodded. Ning Shu's eyes turned. He had to find something for this young man. Sitting here like a fool was quite distressing. No wonder Mei Ziqing didn't lock him in the system space. Mei Ziqing had no choice. As a mission enforcer, she had to do missions to strengthen herself. Ning Shu asked Xiaohua, "Can you read?" Xiaohua shook his head. Ning Shu 2333 said, "Now, help me exchange for a book and a literacy card." Instead of sitting there like a fool, he might as well read. For a fool like him, reading was the fastest way to increase his intelligence. "Let's play a game now, hee." Ning Shu said naively to Xiaohua. Xiaohua looked at Ning Shu in confusion. 2333 exchanged a lot of books for Ning Shu. They were all children's fairy tales and all kinds of short stories. Ning Shu took the calligraphy card and began to teach Xiaohua how to read. What surprised Ning Shu was that although this guy was naive, his ability to accept things was surprisingly strong. Ning Shu let Xiaohua practice on his own. She was going to go out to collect money. Seeing that Ning Shu was about to leave, Xiaohua hurriedly asked, "You're leaving?" Other than Mei Ziqing, this was the only person who was kind to him. Xiaohua was confused and helpless. "I have something to do. Watch over him. I'll be back later." Xiaohua made an "oh" sound, looking very cute. Chapter 1754. Ning Shu flew out of the City Lord's mansion and checked the situation of Water City as he walked. However, Ning Shu found that Xiaohua, the flame essence, was emitting a faint red light and heat, which actually had an effect on the barrier of Water City. Water and fire countered each other. Water could extinguish fire, but fire could also evaporate water. Ning Shu pointed his finger and arranged a barrier around the City Lord's mansion to block the power of Xiaohua and Water City. Then he began to reinforce the huge barrier of Water City. Ning Shu now cherished Water City as if it was his own eye. This was his money tree. After reinforcing it several times, Ning Shu landed on the street and walked into a shop at random. Tax collection. Then, Ning Shu received a sum of money and collected it wherever he went. These small shops did not collect much tax, and the biggest taxpayers were places like gambling houses and restaurants. Ning Shu looked at his account. It was now close to 100,000 faith power. There were still some taxpayers who had not collected it. Ning Shu stood at the entrance of the gambling house and walked in with a smile. The imperial advisor was already waiting for Ning Shu and gave Ning Shu 200,000 merit points. Ning Shu almost fainted from the sheer amount of merit. Fuck, she only got 20,000 merit points for saving a lousy plane. 200,000 merit points. Ning Shu's account never had so many merit points. Ning Shu's heart was bursting with fireworks and he was bursting with joy. Ning Shu's face was very calm and he asked indifferently, "Did you evade taxes?" The imperial advisor, who was wearing a deep robe with wide sleeves, brushed his sleeves and cupped his hands. "I dare not hide anything." Ning Shu nodded and turned to leave. Looking at the lively gambling house, it was really a place to make money. Ning Shu wanted to do business. However, Ning Shu did not know how to do business. Ning Shu collected some taxes along the way. Although it was not much, it was still meat. Ning Shu stood at the entrance of the auction house. This place should be more profitable than the gambling house. Ning Shu wanted to enter the auction house, but he was told that he had to pay 500 merit points to enter. Ning Shu was speechless. I'm here to collect taxes, but you're telling me that you're going to charge an entrance fee. Ning Shu looked at the gatekeeper with a smile. Do you see the water droplets on my head? I'm here to collect taxes. Ning Shu felt unfriendly. The auction house was more arrogant than she had imagined. The city lord has arrived. Please come in, please come in. A woman gracefully walked over. Ning Shu looked at her with an indifferent expression. The gatekeeper doesn't know the city lord, please forgive him. The woman smiled at Ning Shu. Ning Shu also smiled. Was the symbol between her eyebrows just for show? How could they not know each other? A show of strength. Ning Shu felt that the road to taxation today might not be so smooth. City lord, please. The woman led Ning Shu to a luxurious box. Speaking of which, this is the first time the city lord has come to the auction house. The woman poured tea for Ning Shu. I've been here before. Ning Shu said indifferently. The woman smiled, looking very tactful. It's our fault for not treating you well. Ning Shu said directly, I'm here to collect taxes. What's the use of saying more? Pay up. Yes. The woman smiled and gave Ning Shu 100,000 points of faith. Ning Shu saw 100,000 points of faith and almost slammed the table. Was she trying to get rid of a beggar? The auction house only made so little profit. The price of the items was so high that people's hearts were about to explode. What was the point of giving such a tax? Ning Shu's face turned ugly. Your auction house's business is so bad. Why hasn't it closed down yet? The woman smiled, looking very charming. Our auction house has always paid this much. We've always paid this much. Ning Shu sneered, that's all you're going to give? City lord, we've always paid this much. The woman picked up the teacup and said. Ning Shu's face was indifferent. In fact, I shouldn't be collecting taxes from the auction house, right? If the city lord is magnanimous, then our auction house would like to thank the city lord for his kindness. The woman didn't seem to understand the meaning behind Ning Shu's words and went along with Ning Shu's words. Ning Shu laughed in his heart. To be so self-righteous, it seemed that the power behind the auction house wasn't small. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so arrogant. Ning Shu stood up. No matter how small 100,000 is, it's still meat. Why wouldn't I take it? Today, I can take 100,000, I can take millions. No need to send me off. Ning Shu walked out of the auction house and turned to look at the majestic auction house. When the time comes, I'll make you spit it out with interest. I don't want much from you, but I'll swallow what I deserve. Hee hee, manager, is it really okay to only give 100,000? The woman said to the curtain. A pair of jade-white hands parted the curtains, and a man appeared from the curtains. It's fine. It's just a woman who was lucky enough to become the city lord of Water City. I've never heard of such a person before. The man said indifferently. Ning Shu went to Shu Bai's restaurant. Shu Bai transferred 150,000 faith power to Ning Shu. Just look, there were more restaurants than auction houses. This was a complete humiliation, as if they were beggars. Who's behind the auction house? Ning Shu drank 2 cups of tea and asked Shu Bai. Shu Bai said gently, the strength of someone who can open an auction house can't be underestimated. Did you not pay enough taxes? Ning Shu was very unhappy, but he didn't seem to have any other choice. Should he go and complain? He didn't even have the ability to collect taxes. That would be embarrassing. This was a world where the strong were respected. Crying would only make others look down on him. After leaving the restaurant, Ning Shu collected some taxes along the way and walked to the door of the consultation room. Shouldn't the silver-haired man pay her taxes? Ning Shu walked in. The air was rippling with the elegant fragrance of agarwood. Ning Shu sat down on a chair and waited for the silver-haired man to come out. After a while, the silver-haired man opened the curtain and came out of the room. The book in his hand never left his hand. When the silver-haired man saw Ning Shu, his expression didn't change. He sat down and asked, "What do you want to consult this time?" Ning Shu smiled. "I'm not here to consult. You must have forgotten something." The silver-haired man glanced at Ning Shu and fixed his gaze on Ning Shu's forehead. "I'm here to collect money this time." The silver-haired man asked. "Ning Shu, isn't that obvious?" Ning Shu was very happy. In the past, it was the silver-haired man who collected money from her. She really needed money every time she stayed. Now that she could take money from the silver-haired man, she couldn't be happier. Ning Shu took a deep breath of the agarwood and felt a cool aura gathering in her soul. It was very comfortable. "If you have the ability, ask for money from me." Ning Shu smiled reservedly. "Give me the money." The silver-haired man glanced at the smug Ning Shu indifferently. Ning Shu blinked. "Give me money. What are you waiting for? Are you trying to go back on your word? Or are you saying that the consultation room has no business and no money?" Ning Shu looked at the silver-haired man and was speechless. The silver-haired man thought for a moment and said, "I don't have any taxes, but I can let you consult a question for free." Chapter 1755. One question in exchange for taxes. Ning Shu smiled and said, "You must be joking with me." The silver-haired man, "I'm not joking. Free questions." Ning Shu spat in his mind, "One question in exchange for taxes, over 10,000 merit and faith to ask a question, keep dreaming." "Thank you, I don't have any questions to ask right now, I don't have any questions to answer right now," Ning Shu directly said. "Besides, you already owe me a free question." 3 free questions, 2 have already been used, 1 left. Why use her taxes in exchange for a question? It's not worth it at all. The silver-haired man thought for a bit and said, "How's your world construction going?" "It's okay," Ning Shu said half-heartedly. "Give me money, give me money." Actually, even if you collect 5 world origins, you still won't be able to construct a world. The silver-haired man said. "But?" Ning Shu asked a bit anxiously, then realized the silver-haired man's intentions. Sure enough, he's a stingy profiteer. To avoid paying taxes, he's really willing to do anything. But since it's related to his world construction, Ning Shu didn't dare to be careless. Looking at the silver-haired man's expressionless yet faintly smug expression, he felt like he was going to die. And the silver-haired man didn't even tell him how much taxes there were. Ning Shu cursed in his mind. How would he know how much money he spent to ask a question? Ning Shu calmed down and asked, "Let's talk about taxes, how much?" "Not much, my consultation room doesn't have any business." The silver-haired man said, "Do you want to ask about the construction of a world?" Ning Shu asked in his mind, "Why can't I construct a world after collecting 5 world origins? If you don't say something today, I'm going to smash your shop. What a profiteer." The silver-haired man calmly said, "There are 3 reasons. Firstly, 5 world origins aren't enough. Secondly, a world can only be considered a world if there are living beings. Thirdly, the living beings can only be balanced if there's life and death, so you need a reincarnation world." Ning Shu's face was expressionless. "You told me you only need 5 world origins. I'm going to kill you." The silver-haired man was fearless and didn't care about Ning Shu's accusation at all. "Is this question enough for tax?" the silver-haired man asked. Ning Shu crossed his legs and rested his hands on his knees. "I'm all ears. In addition to metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, there is also light and darkness. Therefore, the construction of a world requires 7 world origins." Ning Shu thought, this bitch is really a half-truth. Previously, she had wasted a free question and received half a message. If you do business like this, your consulting office should close down. She had already collected 3 world origins and was only missing 2. Now, 2 more had appeared. Ning Shu felt that it would be very difficult to find a light and dark attribute. Ning Shu looked at the silver-haired man unhappily. "What's the second question?" Can't a plane evolve into a living being on its own? The silver-haired Ning Shu asked. When the conditions are suitable, creatures will naturally be produced. The important reincarnation world. The silver-haired male said. Ning Shu asked, how do you make a reincarnation world? The silver-haired man shook his head. Actually, it's also building a world. In other words, you have to build two worlds, and this world should be the place where the soul belongs. Ning Shu had a headache and rubbed his forehead. What a mess. He was tired and didn't want to explain. Ning Shu wished that he had never come to this place. And even if the silver-haired man was consulting people, he would hide a lot of things and wait for the customer to ask next time. Profiteer, I hope you go bankrupt soon. Ning Shu looked at the silver-haired man. About building a world, is there anything else you're hiding? The silver-haired man closed his book. I've given you all the information I need. Ning Shu took a deep breath. His chest was filled with the smell of agarwood. He had to take enough. Is there anything else you want to ask? The silver-haired man asked. Ning Shu stood up. No need. I hope that the next time I come to collect taxes, you can still use this method to evade me. I will. The silver-haired man took his book and went into the inner room. Ning Shu walked out of the consulting room and turned back to look at the door. This place was really dark, very dark. They only took in and didn't take out. Even if it was taxes, they had to think of a way to avoid it. Ning Shu returned to the city lord's residence to see Little Hua. Little Hua saw Ning Shu and put down the book in his hand. Ning Shu asked, I don't understand. Ning Shu looked at the book on the table. These books are too complicated for you. Read these books. Ning Shu passed the children's book with pictures and stories to Little Hua. Read these now. I'm leaving. Stay here in the future. Don't leave the city lord's residence if you have nothing to do. Mei Ziqing will come back to find you after she finishes her mission. Ning Shu said. Little Hua nodded. I understand. Don't leave the city lord's residence if you have nothing to do. You're a fire attribute world origin. You're a treasure, so don't run around. Ning Shu told Xiaohua that if they were to fight with someone in Water City, the fire element would affect the enchantment of Water City. Mei Ziqing didn't care and brought Little Hua to Water City. He didn't know when Mei Ziqing would return. Little Hua nodded obediently. I understand. I won't go out. Ning Shu looked at his hair that was dragging on the ground. Why didn't you cut your hair? It was as uncomfortable as a mop, and it was easy to hook his hair. His hair was hooked. His hair was pressed down. He tripped over his own hair. How interesting. Little Hua touched his hair. Ziqing said it looked good. Ning Shu, Mei Ziqing's unique beauty. Ning Shu nodded. As long as you're happy. Ning Shu left the city lord's residence and said to 2333, let's go back. She wanted to go back and see how much the taxes were this time. Ning Shu returned to the system space and immediately opened her attribute panel. She saw the merit and faith points. Merit, 654000 faith. 111500. When Ning Shu saw this number, she was so happy that she wanted to faint. She felt like she had become rich overnight. Ning Shu clutched her chest. She felt that her heart was about to explode. Oh my God, this feels so good. A city's taxes. Ning Shu couldn't help but feel happy. So much money, so much money, so much money. From now on, she would be rich. Ning Shu thought for a moment and asked 2333, oh right, can I buy soul power? Ning Shu felt that she should spend money and be free. 2333 said indifferently, no. Soul power is something that is in high demand. Other than the mission reward, everything else has its uses. That's why the market doesn't sell it. Of course, there are still some, but it depends on whether you can find a way to buy it. But I don't know if the soul power is pure or not. Ning Shu, an impure soul couldn't be bought. There were too many impurities and it was easy to cause problems. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.